Simpsons Index, an online spreadsheet that is also a podcast. This is the podcast. Coming at you live from the dank in Newtown, this is the Simpsons Index, episode 36. Hello, I am your host, Elliot J. O'Neill, and joining me in the dank this week is...
Oh, it's me. It's Jordan. I didn't prepare anything.
And...
I'm Sherry.
I'm Terry. We're twins.
And finally...
BT Calloway, one of your chair moisteners from Sector 7G.
Nice. So you might, fair listener, be wondering, wait, why are there 5 voices on the podcast? Is the spreadsheet once again sprouting another column for a 5th guest? No, that's not the case. Through the magic of the podcast world, I've managed to fuse previous guests Danny Rosewell and Claire RR into one person that I call Clanny RRR. How do you guys feel after that process?
A little moist.
I feel...
And now you might be wondering why I've done this. Well, I wanted to do something special because tonight is a special episode.
Gasp.
Because this is the podcast where we review The Simpsons 3 episodes at a time. The catch is, each episode comes from a different decade. And just then, we watched our HD era episode. But before we talk about that, I just want to announce, guys, The Simpsons Index just watched its 100th episode of The Simpsons.
You should have told me I'd have worn a different hat.
I would
the
have worn
hat you're
pants.
wearing is lovely.
I mean, it's invisible, but
Could use more sequins.
just use your imagination sequence.
No.
I have to say, though, that for the 100th episode, that was god-awful. Why did you do that to us?
Hey,
This
Well,
is
this
what it means
isn't-
to be a critic.
Yeah.
Is that
Hey, this isn't the 100th episode of the podcast. It's the 100th episode that we've reviewed.
is that
so-
including the ones we got too drunk to actually publish on the podcast?
No.
Do-over.
And yeah, for the 100th episode that the Simpsons Index have reviewed, we just watched season 26, episode 12, The Musk Who Fell to Earth. AKA, okay, so this is the one where Elon Musk comes to town and they jerk him off like, much like they did 3 years ago for the Lady Gaga episode. Guys, what'd you think?
It was garbage.
That's a good opinion.
It was smelly garbage. It was terrible.
it just it had nothing to enthrall the viewer at all.
No. Out of the gate, I don't think we recommend this one.
Can you guess what we're going to rate it?
I'd only recommend it if it was opposite day. It's not opposite.
It isn't. All right, so anyway, starting off at the start. Oh, yeah. Also, this episode aired January 25th, 2015. So it starts out with this weird bit about the eagle.
Well, can I just say as well, sorry, they skipped the opening credit to go, well, purely with a, I don't know, is the Bumblebee Man an normal part of this season? Like the credits? Because it says The Simpsons and bees chase
No,
Bumblebee Man
it's a
across the
different thing each time.
You actually bring up a good point. Something we haven't really talked about is that the HD era episodes like really cram in a lot of recurring gags into the intro sequence. Like when the Simpsons scroll comes up, there's usually something tagging along with it there. And the kid's cutting off the head of the statue. Ralph says something different every time.
That's dope.
As they zoom into the school, there's a billboard gag every time, and it's different, and there's a chalkboard gag. Like, they really do cram a lot of stuff into the intro sequences now.
Except this episode, they decided they obviously had too much material that they couldn't do as like an intro sequence at all.
Yeah, they're just sitting there going, it's all too good, can't cut anything.
Yeah, they say in writing, you got to kill your darlings, but goddamn.
Yeah, if this was someone's darling, it should be drowned at birth.
Wow. But, yeah, accurate. Like,
Like I was like, oh, like not even half-assing their shock.
Like, I'd be watching it happen and be like, oh, that's a bit bad, but all right. Yeah.
I understand.
Fair
Continue.
enough. I'll help you.
And then the bubbles stop.
It was completely unnecessary. It wasn't funny, for starters. So she's got the birdhouse, little cute birds. There's the bald eagle. You think, okay, it's going to be some sort of patriot, thing, right? No. Eagle eats some birds. For some reason, Homer gets really shitty about this. The bird tries to take Maggie. Okay. Then they're playing Mousetrap in Bart's room. The bird comes in, and then the bird's in a sack, and he's trying to kill the bird. And then Lisa is like, no, let's rescue it and release it. I'm like, you're the ones trying to kill it. It was fine before you tried to capture it.
Yeah. And in this fight with the bird, I didn't mind the whole bit until the bird went into the house, and it just felt like they dragged it out way too long.
Bart and Milhouse are playing Mouse Catch. Another one of the stupid...
Parallel imports, yeah.
Yeah, which just, again, is it really... Can they not afford to pay like probably $1,000 usage
Is it
of
a
the
Milton
name?
Bradley game?
Who
Not even
knows?
then. I think you could use it under fair use of it being parody, essentially.
Yeah.
But maybe
just-
that's why they had to call it Mouse Catch.
Okay. And just quickly inject... Okay, I do like the joke where Homer identifies a bald eagle by the US quarter.
Holding a quarter up.
Yeah.
But it's actually a proper quarter.
Yeah, but I also want to say that killing or attempting to kill or attempting to eat, as they do in this episode, is in fact a federal offense.
Oh, yeah.
Maximum $250,000 or 2 years imprisonment.
Because they're an endangered species, I'm pretty sure.
And they're America's coat of arms. Unlike our
Yeah.
coat of arms, the emu and the kangaroo, which we regularly eat.
Yeah.
And they were delicious.
Oh, yeah.
Coat of arms salad. Try it out.
While because Homer flat out threatens to just murder this bird, not just say, hey, I'll have to, he says, I'm
he
going to
bags
bash
him up and
Grabs
threatens
in a
to beat him
garbage
to
bag.
death. Yeah,
He threatens to bash him against a wall until he dies. Literally the words he uses. I'm like, what the fuck is that?
Oh, and the eye gag as well. Yet another
yeah,
eye
too
gag.
much, too much.
Yeah, not cool.
But it wasn't
Yeah.
even like proper gross, like when his eye pops out at Willie's, like the with the hose.
It was much veinier.
Yeah, this was just there like a
'Cause I-
piece of string.
Because I think you see the void behind his eye.
Yeah.
Yes, made it feel like an itchy and scratchy.
Yeah.
Made it feel removed from reality.
Oh,
Although
totally.
maybe people do have voids behind their eyes.
Yeah.
And so it turns
I've
out the
seen, they
Simpsons endeavor to save this bird and rehabilitate it. And, flashcard 2 weeks later, they...
That's like 4 weeks later. It's like, that was an episode you could have done.
yeah.
Yeah, they really cut straight to the end of that when they're why?
And the only purpose the Eagle served was to get torched by Elon Musk's fucking spaceship as he's crash landing into Springfield.
Yeah.
And then they set off on the set of cliches of, oh, it's Elon Musk. Wow, he's the greatest inventor. And what are you doing in Springfield, Elon Musk?
Yeah,
and at the Simpsons dinner table,
It's
no
very
less.
much that, what are you doing in Springfield, Elon Musk?
Yeah.
I will say notes number 5 and 11 for me are both no and then no, respectively.
in
That's
regards
how
to
I
him,
feel about this episode.
in regards
We
to
could
him
do-
being a voice actor,
No, as in regard, before Elon Musk even showed up, note number 5, just no.
that's my summation of Elon Musk doing any kind of voice acting in future.
Yeah, clearly not.
He was good in
made.
South Park.
Was he?
Yeah.
We'll never know because I will not watch him after that. Can I just say as well, sorry, just quickly before that, the eagle rips out both of Homer's hairs.
Yeah, yeah. He has
I've
a
never noticed
wig on.
before. Homer looks weird bald.
Yeah.
creepy as.
The few times it's
Weird.
happened, like when he's in the military or joining a cult. Yeah, it's
That actually lent to a good gag. Boy, pass me my toupee. And
Yeah, yeah.
And
Yeah,
it's just
I
like a
laughed.
bald cap with the 2 hairs still on. Yeah, no, I thought
no,
that was too
that's
bad.
clever. So, going into Act 2, Elon Musk has confessed, I'm in Springfield because I'm all out of ideas. And he, sort of takes up Homer like an idiot savant mentor or some shit.
Do you feel like this is sort of a metaphor for what the writers are going through? Like, we've got no fucking ideas. Let's just make Homer say stupid shit.
I
Because
feel
that's
like
essentially what happens.
I feel like the joke about the raison d'etre, like the reason for existing in French for all our non kind of
Well, I was confused, so thank you.
brain.
Like
but
what?
Raison d'etre, which is the sorry. Oh wait, never mind.
See, I just thought it meant detrimental raisins, so I was
Yeah.
confused.
Unfortunately,
Raisin derrière. That's like a really wrinkly,
but I feel like
purplish bite.
But
Yeah,
I know
bite.
what that means.
but I felt like that was a perfect example of The Simpsons being self-referential almost.
I will quickly say I do like the line where Elon Musk's spaceship lands and it's like, they mentioned something about crushing their mailman. He's just like, honey, guess who just crushed my leg?
That was great.
That was okay. Yeah.
Also, just on lines we liked around this time as well when we're carpooling, Homer says the line, if you're going to have a lift, it's ass, gas, or grass. I thought that was cute.
That was
Oh, you didn't like it?
Ask
It just
grass
didn't
or
make
gas.
sense.
Sorry.
Because if he's going to give you a lift, you have to either give up your ass,
No,
some gas, or some grass.
I know what it means, but if Elon Musk isn't going to pay him or give him weed, it means he's saying to Elon Musk, blow me.
Yeah.
No, he was requesting anal sex, some weed, and some petrol.
All three?
It's or, not and.
No wonder Elon Musk later fell in love with Homer. Obviously, it was a bonding moment.
I just had a note here as well. Saying the word protons is not a joke.
That's also true.
Yeah.
No, that was a
Yeah.
weird place to leave the act on.
Yeah, that was just the end
Yeah,
of
that
it.
was-
If anyone asks you what you're doing, just say something about protons. Like that. It's not a joke, Homer.
You know what? Let's try it tomorrow. Everyone go to their place of business. Just go protons!
I don't
And
think
see if
it'll
you get
work
that
at a
awkward
bank.
silence after it, like I just did.
So, in another, this is a term that Worst Episode Ever podcast coined, which was the Wiggum and Lou corner.
Yeah, this was bad.
Yeah, this, and Elon Musk paper lands in the coffee and Wiggum gets freaked out and shoots Lou like twice. Like,
Yeah. And Lou sounded really wrong.
yeah.
Homer and Elon are like, Elon is sitting in the back seat while Homer drives. What is he, like a fucking chauffeur? Like, what's the problem with Elon?
Yeah.
Why can't he sit in the front with Homer?
So
Especially
he can
'cause
talk
Lisa
to
is
Lisa
there.
and scrunch up notes and throw them at her.
You mean make?
Oh god, Lisa was so unnecessary in this scene as well.
I think it's because she is so enamored with Elon Musk and the idea of him that she just wants to kind of leech off every moment that she can have with him.
But see, that's the thing. They could have taken the idea of somebody famous and intelligent coming to the Simpsons world and Lisa being totally enamored. They've done that storyline before, and they could have kind of rehashed it to more success, I feel.
Yeah, they only sort of feather touched on that premise where most of it, and I actually kind of like the concept of Mr. Burns taking on Elon Musk into his power plant and it ends up ruining him. It wasn't executed well at all.
I would have liked that more if it was kind of like Elon Musk almost doing it as a like a fuck you almost to Burns, like that greed
deliberately,
that he
yeah.
has, because obviously Elon Musk must be a very rich guy, but he
Yeah.
gives away a lot of money to
Money and patents and
yeah,
stuff.
absolutely, to a lot of stuff, and I think he must that kind of greed of hoarding money must really incense him. And so I think if they turned it into no, I've done it because, I wanted to ruin you, that would have been almost a storyline. But
I
instead
actually
of just
thought that's where it was going.
Yeah.
Honestly, I thought he was just like, look at all the money you can make. I mean, when he specifically said he didn't care about money,
Yeah.
then he sort of does it almost by, disinterest more than by anything deliberate. Yeah.
No, that's right.
There was a very quick bit, Mr. Burns, where he goes, well, my doctor says I'm not allowed to imagine anything anymore, so I've hired an imaginer, which I liked at the beginning, who then runs in and is like, oh, I can picture it now. But then they drag it on too long.
They drag it. There's so many to drag it on way too long moments.
Because just having him leave it at, ooh, I like it, I can picture it now. And that's enough. You don't need to then everything else with him.
I like how they call it an imaginer, because if they called it an Imagineer, they would
Disney
get
would sue.
sued by Disney so hard.
So fast as well.
Yeah.
You are
the ink
so
wouldn't
sued.
be dry and Disney would be on the phone.
Maybe it was another one of their parallel imports. They're that afraid of Disney lawyers.
Everyone's afraid of Disney lawyers, man.
Ooh, horror movie, Disney lawyers.
You say Disney lawyer 3 times in the window in the middle.
And then they come and sue you.
No, wish Disney lawyers upon a star, and then
Although I did like the joke of this is the person who revolutionized the car, and it's like Henry Ford,
Ford.
you're looking better than ever, just like the city of Detroit.
Take that, Detroit is officially in my notes.
And Smithers in that exact same scene as well. Don't you know this is Elon Musk? And
So much
Let-
of this episode
yeah.
feels like the writers just lecturing the audience. I mean,
yeah,
Just name dropping someone they've already name dropped who's already in the goddamn episode.
I feel like it's just half the episode is just cradling his balls very gently.
It's really vain.
Yeah.
For
To be fair, it must be hard to write an episode while you've got Elon Musk's balls in your other hand.
Yeah, it's very true.
I bet he demanded, your good hand as well.
I know. So your dominant
so it's
hand is
extra,
cradling balls,
Yeah.
and your other hand's trying to type.
Do you reckon they took shifts?
I reckon all shifts. Yeah.
I bet
they had one team of writers working the balls, the other working the shaft.
That's teamwork.
and then whatever was jizzed out across the page, they just published.
Oh yeah.
I'm pretty sure they turned that into Starship fuel.
I feel like they for
Elon
some reason,
Musk powering starships with cum. My cum.
I don't know. Okay, no, I'm being the designated SJW here.
Are you?
When they're talking about that's like a Lenny suggestion or something, he goes, and Mr. Burns goes, "That's the white one, right?" was
It's
like,
just confusing.
"Ugh."
Like,
It's just another rehash of old joke from Homer going, white guys have names like Lenny and black guys have names like Carl.
or writing Lenny White, Carl Black on his hand. Yeah.
Yeah. There's so much of that. It's racist.
I don't think it's racist. It just seems incredibly lazy. Like, Mr. Burns isn't expected to know who these people are.
No. They're
He's-
just one of the drones from Sector 7G.
The better line would be, Letty, does he work here?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, so the lunchtime gags where Elon Musk and Homer were sitting on the cooling tower. What'd you think of that? Like the drone sushi and...
Don't ever make jokes about lunch. It's very good.
I'm offended.
Yeah.
The drone sushi, okay.
It's fine.
That was fine. I mean, it wasn't funny, but it was fine. And then what the fuck happened to that bit? Like
The hugs.
the awkward hugs.
And then the drone was playing the violin with like little comedy arms.
Yeah.
What another example of a joke that just got dragged on way too long and just got boring.
Yeah. If they were like, hey, you can get sushi by drone now, I'd be very happy. But,
We just got burgers by bike. Speaking of which, a slight diversion to the food index. We just ate burgers by Josh. Guys, what'd you think?
very, very good.
Oh my god, so good.
So many goods.
I'm
chicken.
still eating it. It's really
Oh, you are
good.
too.
The lunch bit. There's this bit where like Homer, I can't remember what it is. Homer says something heartfelt, and Elon responds with a like hearts, like little emoji hearts coming out of his chest, and he says, "Oh, that's a thing I'm working on." And I'm kind of going, "What the fuck was that? What was that supposed to be? Is it kind of like emojis for real life?"
That's what I feel like it was. I didn't mind that. It got
I
brushed
minded
off
it.
too quickly. As in, the idea it's an app he's working on is good, but it was just so quick.
And then, in the next scene, Elon Musk is showing off to Springfield all of his inventions and the
I loved the big billboard that they had in the establishing shot of that scene, which said, "Smell the musk, feel the burn." I was like, that
Yeah,
is
I did like that.
amazing. That's great.
Again, I think the sign writers are a different team, but
yeah, totally right. Like maybe the Simpsons should be just reduced to a bunch of sign gags.
Yes.
maybe.
Because the thing is, you know what? They're never paid attention to. It's just in the background, and if you catch it, it's funny.
Yep.
If it's not drawn attention to.
Yep.
But they're
If they
always great.
stopped and pointed at it, it wouldn't be the same.
That's the whole problem with the later Simpsons. They stop and point at so many of their jokes. Like,
Yeah.
get
Yes.
this joke? Let's drag it out a little bit more.
Look, we're being funny.
Like in the next bit where he goes, "I invented a Glavinator," and Frank was like, "I'll eat Glavin," and then they
Yeah.
were like back and forth for like
It would
half
have
a
been
minute.
so much better if he announces, I invented a Glavinator. You hear from the audience, oh, for crying out, Glavin.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
for crying out, Glavin. It would have been a moment akin
Oh,
to.
for the love of crumb cake.
Thank you. So anyway, in another Kent Brockman news transition, we get an Arnie Pie gag where Arnie is so impressed with Elon Musk's autonomous
Helicopter.
helicopter. Yeah, I forgot what those choppy whoppers were called.
Twirly whirly fly a lots.
I like the bit where, I mean, this is the children's bit, but I like where his eye goggles said, "Go away, no, get out," and he takes them off. And he's like, "You know what I'm going to say now." And
Release
Smith,
the hounds.
He goes, "Actually, I was going to say, but I like your one better."
yeah,
That was so laboured though, and then the hounds.
it's a cheap gag. Of course, it's a cheap gag.
Actually, that's
but-
true, because he says, "Can you at least give me a 10-second no start?" He goes,
Oh,
1, 2,
man,
3,
they-
go!
yeah.
Anyway. But then he says, "Not on the rug."
Yeah,
Like,
which
the
again
hands
would have
drag
been
him
better
out.
if it was like, oh, I would Smithers, but I already pressed the button.
Ooh, that is better. Although I did like later at the hospital when they throw back the hounds again. Was it a
Yeah.
hospital? Or was it,
Yeah.
was it a
Yeah.
hospital or was it room upstairs?
I think it was just
No.
his bed.
No, I didn't like that. That
Oh.
gag was shit.
It's a throwback.
Yeah, it was a throwback. Just reminded me of the first shit joke.
Two-headed
And I-
cyclopses always argue.
Yes.
It's
One's
true.
always the smart one. One's the smart one, one's the brute.
And now that I look at my notes, I'm getting even more annoyed at this episode because then there's a bit where like everyone, Springfield is now Muskified. Everyone has automated everything, and the Simpsons robotic car, Bart steals it and accesses the password Musk rules with a Z, and that goes nowhere.
Yeah,
No.
no, it's so dumb because he takes it over, gets it manual control, but he could have just told it where to go, tell it where to go.
Yeah, it was a setup. It was clearly a setup. I mean, he drives off with Lisa to like perform mischief.
And that's the other thing.
Why did Lisa get in the car?
Exactly. She was like, "You'll never be able to defeat my Musk."
Musk's power. And it's like, you know what? That exists just so they can say Musk rules.
Yeah.
With a Z.
Yeah.
With a Z.
I think it exists for 2 sight gags where he veers over to one side of the road and there's a visual gag. I can't remember what it was because it was so forgettable. He veers over to the other side of the road. There's a Cletus gag, which again is forgettable. And then he veers again and it's the power plant. And that's it.
Yeah.
Just before that, there's another shitty autopilot joke where the family go out to somewhere. Doesn't matter. The whole Simpson family, they get out and they go. And Homer says to the car, now drive into the work car park so people think I'm there. And it drives past Moe's,
And then
reverses
backs
back,
Oh.
and the car says, Force of habit.
So
Why would the guy have a
poor.
voice?
So
Why would
poor.
it do that?
Or voice, okay. But force of habit, that's not what machines do.
No. Stop it. Yeah. Why does suddenly everything fall into a depression? Everything goes into the depression.
Yep.
Because no one's working and everything's
man.
automatons.
And then like the I gotta say it. I've got to like Ken Brockman fucking news broadcast. Just like suddenly it's an announcement for a musical number.
Yeah.
The following announcement is a prepaid announcement for the new following musical number set in old-timey. Old-timers sing along. Oh, it's the worst.
Because it's all about the depression.
It was the worst musical number. I don't remember
It
it,
was
at
the
all.
worst musical number.
Because I don't understand why because Carl didn't need to be
No,
there.
there was no reason
but he
for
was
him.
like dancing along beside Homer as like Homer's being his depressed self, like kicking a
It's sort
can
of-
along the
well,
street.
Yeah, it sort of looked like the shitty black and white era Disney where it is all racist and stuff.
It was almost portrayed like a musical though, with like someone just singing along behind the main character being all depressed.
Merry
and
melodies.
I didn't
That's
understand.
what I'm thinking of.
Merry melodies. There's something merry about this melody.
Yeah. What I didn't understand is they spent all this money, and that was the thing. There was this PowerPoint presentation about like, you know, short-term pain, long-term gain, or whatever. Like, spend all your money now, Burns, and the
And
picture
your
of Burns, all the
grandchildren
money
will be
flying out of
happy.
his pocket. But the thing is, then as soon as that happens, everything gets shut down. Like the Hyperloop, there's people
Yep.
living in it.
Yeah.
And there's all the thing. I'm like, I don't understand. Didn't you spend the money? Why isn't it operational anymore? Why is this suddenly just a thing? It's like, oh no, we're in the depression now.
Actually, and this reaches the like, what is the moral of this story?
The moral of their story then becomes Homer being upset that Elon Musk isn't spending any time with him
No,
and they've got to break up. And
The moral of the story is Elon Musk is too beautiful for this world.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's it. It's that the reason that his magical future idea is that we're scum. We're scum compared to Krusty. You know, if
You see how you're scum.
yeah, if
I do see how I'm scum.
the whole town isn't good enough for his ideas. They all get homeless and they sleep in the fucking pipes and
So Burns' idea is to just assassinate him, essentially. He
yeah.
comes to Smithers' bedside after the dog attack. I was just like, don't worry, everything's fine. I'm going to have him murdered.
and then, gets his trio of geriatric hitmen.
Ugh.
I was close to liking that joke. It
Was
doesn't
that a
land.
scene about winning him back? Was that a winning him back scene?
Pretty
Don't
much.
worry, I'm gonna have him murdered, baby. Now, you know,
you.
for you.
Even though you had nothing to do with it in the first place, and you warned me that he was going to ruin me.
Now
Don't worry.
Smithers will come back to
What
me.
kind of sociopath is writing these episodes? So, does anyone want to say anything else about the end before we hit the questionnaire?
Yes.
Elon Musk is playing tapped out because they need to remind
Yes.
us that's a thing.
Okay.
Is that actually the tapped out
Yeah.
thing
Yeah,
with
that
the
was
dollar sign
definitely-
over the
yeah.
little apartment floating? Okay, cool.
Fucking
Yeah.
terrible. Okay, the one joke that I almost liked if they'd actually done something with this during the episode was Lisa being like, I just wanted to see what a better life would be like. Like, that
Why
was,
wasn't it a Elon and Lisa episode?
thank you. And even the idea of Elon being a beautiful person, too good for the shitheads of Springfield, I'm pretty sure that they've done that before. It will promise you a better life, and they're just too
Yeah.
ignorant to do
Monorail
so.
guy.
No, Monorail guy was
No,
ripping
he
him
was.
off.
Yeah.
You missed the point of that episode.
Promising
He
him a better life.
Fucked North Haverbrook, Ogdenville, and Brockway.
Nashville.
Yeah.
Brockway?
But you bring
Paul
like
Brockway.
the whole Lisa angle just makes me think. Why was it Homer saying that you're too beautiful for this town? It should have been Lisa because she has more admiration for him than anybody. Like
Absolutely.
tying Elon Musk to Homer was just dumb.
Or even the idea, like Lisa wants to impress him, wants to be his
Yes.
friend, and then Elon is, for whatever reason, impressed by her stupid father. She could have been really irritated, like, what? Like, why?
Yeah, how dare you take
That's always what happens to Lisa.
the
and that would've-
opinions of idiots above someone who actually knows what they're talking about?
Well,
Yeah.
because maybe that's the thing. Maybe it's all about the fact that, like, from the stupidest ideas, and they kind of say it about the Homerisms that he comes up with, that maybe there's those grains of creativity.
I believe the noblest spirit in begins the smallest, man.
Exactly.
Homerisms. They weren't Homerisms. They were just random bullshit.
One of them was a fucking Tazon deism.
Thank you,
Exactly.
Elliot. You got my back.
I was about to say, do I have time for a quick lightning round JAC?
All right, yeah, before we hit the questionnaire, it's time for Jordan's Anal Corner.
Thank you.
Lightning round.
Thank you, God. Really quickly.
So,
1
1 minute on the clock. Go.
The eagle at the start, how fucking big is that bird? Because the shadow takes up the entire house.
It was closer to the sun.
No, doesn't make sense. Sorry. Okay, 2. How the fuck did they get up on the cooling tower?
Homer. Apparently, there's an elevator that goes up there in the Homer and Mindy episode. They're taking the elevator down when they come out, and then Homer's sliding down the cooling
Oh.
tower.
True.
1.
Done.
Why does the Simpson bedhead have like 2 divots? I don't understand. Is it like for Marge's hair, but then there's one on Homer's side as well? Makes no sense. 2. No, I'm on like 5 now. One of the assassins has like an MP44 with a scope. What the fuck is he trying to hit? From across the road? What are you talking about, dude? Anyway, 2. PayPal. Musk.
Again.
I'm back to 2. 6.
Always 2.
There's
He
about-
knows that I'm going to edit like 5 of them out, so
Exactly.
he just keeps saying 2.
Musk talks about like owning PayPal. No, he did not. He owned a site called X2, which combined with another site called Confinity, which had like an e-payment system. He didn't invent the Confinity system. He just merged them and then formed PayPal. And then he got ousted by the board because of a clash of things. Anyway,
It
2.
checks out.
Last one. Musk cries in the space rocket, but he isn't strapped into his chair. So why is the tear going out, but he isn't also floating all funny?
Oh, and the hologram gag was really bad. Mm-hmm. For some reason, I'm singing now.
And yeah, for whatever reason, David Bowie thought, oh yeah, I'll lend my song to this episode. I'm
Maybe
not
you-
dead yet after all.
Maybe that's what killed him.
Yeah,
His involvement
he saw
in
the
that.
episode and
I
had-
hope he watched the episode before he put his name on. Oh, it's the wrong voice.
No, that's John Lennon.
That was Ringo, or maybe, yeah, for sure. It was one of the Beatles.
is Ringo.
You've got to get all Thomas the Tank
He's
Engine.
still
for
alive.
Ringo.
You can still make him cry, Elliot.
And we will.
Well, that means it's time for the questionnaire. So, storyline-wise, this was one of the messiest A plots I've ever seen.
Very sloppy gay.
Did it feel like a no?
Dude, that sounded dirty as fuck.
I just
going,
said
Elliot.
words. I don't know what's wrong with all of you.
Bringing your A game.
Did it feel like an episode of The Simpsons?
No.
No.
Yeah.
That was very cut and dry. All the characters were off. All the everything was shit.
Yep.
Who's seen it before?
No one. Except you.
I've seen it once, and no, this will be the last
Never
time.
again. Yeah.
Wackiness.
Boing.
Yeah. Doing.
Oh,
Elon
yeah.
Musk decides to land his spacecraft in the Simpsons' backyard.
Oh my god, it starts out on such a dumb note. I mean, and that's Act 2, but it's still dumb.
So sorry, before that, a bald eagle decides to menace the Simpsons household.
Oh yeah. And the fucking birdhouse to birdhouse starting closing for some reason.
Oh, that gave me a real sense of closure.
Looks like the
Oh, at least they've got a good carbon neutral birdhouse now.
It didn't even show that it was like bald eagle proof. Not that it matters because the bald eagle died. Anyway, let's go
looks
on.
like the Simpsons are writing their episodes
Fair
one
enough.
birdhouse at a time.
Heart.
Like I said, the only part that made me feel genuine emotion, aside from anger, was Lisa attempting to escape her shitty life. Just like I
Yeah.
wanted to escape this shitty episode and could not.
Burn
Where did she get the
episode.
spacesuit from?
That's true. It's a child-sized spacesuit.
Spacesuit
Maybe she just
Emporium.
had it on her.
It's on 5th.
Yeah.
She was wearing a
Nick-
spacesuit?
The most heart I felt in this episode where Dolph throws the brick at the screen with Elon because he's so upset about the state of Springfield. That was like the most heartfelt bit of the episode I felt. Was Dolph being just angry and upset because, everything's gone to shit in
The
Springfield.
purity of throwing a brick to show that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then they turned that into a shit joke where like he had the surgery from what's his name, the baseball guy, and now he's really good at throwing. And
I can
Kill me.
understand. I was already too bored to pay
I've
attention.
got eye cancer.
Yeah.
Yes or no? Would you watch this episode again?
No.
No.
No. Let's rank this thing. Failure.
Yeah, failure.
Oh, so yeah, Clanny, you've got to come to a
A
consensus
unanimous
between the
agreement.
two of you.
Look, swing your mic away, have a little discussion, and we'll come back to you.
BT.
Yeah, let me just read out some highlights from my notes here. No, you're not doing anything. Why doesn't it stop? No, so bored, no laughs, shouldn't exist, like they're being intentionally dull here. Failure. Across, it's so boring. It's so boring.
How about you, J-Fro?
Can I read out some of my notes?
Oh, please.
Complete non sequiturs. White meatballs?
Oh, God.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
Burns doesn't understand money. But you know what? Despite all that, I watched it and I'm like, that's a nothing episode and I will forget it immediately. For that, for me, that is a participant. Because a failure is one that I really angrily hate. And I go, that is such a shit episode. I'm really angry about it.
You didn't?
You know what? I look at it and go, it's nothing. There's no jokes. There's nothing that is just so wrong that I kind of go, oh, I'm so angry about that one bit. Okay, go on.
Generally, I agree with you that failure is something I reserve, something I want to yell at. However, this one is so boring and so lacking in anything. There's no plot structure. There's no jokes. There's nothing there. The overall effect is what I hate. There's no parts in it that I want to hate and yell at. It's the overall that you get to the end of the episode and there's just nothing there. Not even an attempt to be an episode.
Yeah,
so that's
okay.
what I hate and that's why I'm failing it.
Okay, the reason I might change my result is that by giving it a participant, I don't want to give it like a shiny failure. So
You follow your heart. Follow your heart.
yeah, let's wait for Clanny to vote.
Okay.
Clanny?
If you vote anything other than failure, I will put cardboard over my half of the TV and then force you to watch it on repeat forever.
Look, I think this is just this is to Jordan, sort of. I think if I hadn't seen the Lady Gaga episode the other day, he wasn't there for that, was he? That was
Sheridan.
yeah. Watching that one, this one is so reminiscent of all its flaws that I can't even see neutrality in its heart. I can only see chaos. It's
okay. But if you compare this to the voodoo episode,
What to expect when Bart's expecting.
is this in the same category as the voodoo episode?
Look,
this is what, again, I've talked about this a million times, but me as like kind of working in essentially finance, I think of it as like a bell curve.
I like that your job is so complex it has to be described as essentially finance, but not actually.
It's
not
so
actually.
boring that nobody wants the
It's
details.
it's like parallel to finance.
Hello, welcome to Parallel
All right, we're
Finance.
severely over time, so we want some concrete resolutions on your rank. So
bottom line is, I'm not trying to influence your decision because
Okay.
your decision is your decision. But I've seen the depths of hell in The Simpsons in the last that one as well. Not just the Gaga episode, that one as well. And I can see its shadowy hand upon the shoulder of this episode. You know, there are episodes that haven't touched me, but this leaves me scared for the future.
Saying on this one, there's the hand of death. He's going, good.
So, Clanny, what do you rank it?
Failure.
All right.
Actually, yeah, okay, fine. I'm going to change it to failure just purely for not referencing Tazon Day. I breathe out away from the microphone.
I will say, this is in no way a reflection of Elon Musk, who is actually a genuinely interesting and...
But
Yeah,
very
person.
vain, apparently. I mean, who would be in an episode like that?
This is the thing. I read a thing about Elon Musk. He can work like 18 hours a day, and he will interview like everyone who works for his company and give them this like particular like quiz and everything like that. He is a very dedicated, singular, like focused man. And for him to do this episode, I'm kind of like going, "What are you doing, Elon?"
For real.
you have worlds to change, goddammit.
Maybe that's just what he does in his sleep. Maybe he just mutters and they recorded him.
Like, let's work a episode around this. I think
Yeah.
you're onto something.
And yeah, look, I said before, Elon Musk's South Park appearance was great. Like, and also in a pretty uneven season of South Park as well. His constant presence was actually really good. And yeah, I don't blame Elon Musk for the terribleness of this episode. just watched season 16, episode 10, There's Something About Marrying. First aired February 20, 2005. And in this episode, Springfield decides to legalize gay marriage, and Homer decides to become a celebrant, and Patty of Patty and Selma fame decides to come out.
Yeah, man, you've got to legalize it.
And just before we start, look, please get out there and donate your time or your money to the Equality Campaign for Australia. Currently, our Prime Minister is being a complete cunt. He is being a complete cunt, and despite professing personal beliefs in favour of marriage equality, he is still not putting it to a free vote to the floor because he is towing the line for the Liberal Party of Australia, and he's been a cunt. So seriously, give him shit. Call him up on his house phone and
deliver 200 pizzas to his house,
Yes.
which each have an equality message written on the top.
in mushrooms, because he hates mushrooms, so he'll get the message. Anyway, fuck Malcolm Turnbull, fuck the Liberal Party, pro-marriage equality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if we can get Bernie Sanders to come here, I like that guy. Could he run our country?
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Maybe
America
Obama
doesn't-
just wants, to settle down a little bit, and maybe he could run our country.
Yeah, we're a smaller country. It's like a retirement country.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's not doing anything right.
he's living it
Anyway,
up.
so there's something about marrying guys. What'd you think?
Ugh.
Yeah.
It's average to bad.
So, yeah, despite having a complete pro-gay marriage message, this episode seems to fall short of providing a good episode behind that good message.
Okay, I feel like I didn't mind it until the whole twist of the storyline was that Marge went from being not only like really well versed and, really pro-marriage and really fighting for it, to being the only person in town against it.
As bad as this episode was, I feel like it's kind of true to Marge in that she's kind of behind a theoretical idea until it affects someone that she is close to or a family member, and then she is like, no, I'm going back onto my
Citations, please.
I said feel like, not think.
I'm actually going to agree with you there, Jordan.
Okay, go
Not
ahead.
so much, I'm going to more in the sense that this is a lot of people's reaction, as in they're pro it until it becomes a part of their lives,
Yeah.
and then there's an awkwardness. From Marge, we don't really get that she's opposed to it. It's just, she even says at a certain part, yeah, I'm totally fine with my sister not telling me this about her for 30 years, and then expecting total acceptance on the day of her wedding.
Yeah, but we see a flashback to Marge watching her make out with another woman against the wall of a movie theater as an adult. It's not
But
like Marge
Marge
is a child.
is also
at the time.
like wonderfully naive. She does this a lot. There's a lot of times where
She's
someone's
not
like,
blind.
hey, honey, I always get what I want. And she's like, I said no. Oh, did you? Oh, totally misinterpreted. She's often that, what was that line with Disco Stew where he's...
She's naive. She's not stupid.
No, she's naive. She's wonderfully
Delightfully
naive. She has that
naive
line-
can border on stupid sometimes.
She has that line when Lisa's like, it's such and such an author, and even he's kissed more
Fine.
boys than I have. And she's
Fine.
like, girls, boys kiss girls, Lisa. It's.
But the
I think it's more that she's being a lot of people's reaction rather than being Marge herself. She's...
I know, but see, this is my problem with a lot of the Simpsons episodes. The characters lose their character in order to portray some message that the writers want to get across. But if you don't keep the character, then the message fails.
But anyway,
Yeah.
we'll go back to the start and get into the details later. So it starts out with the beer melon gag, which in theory I like.
Millhouse setting up a little, pick up a free beer, get a watermelon dropped in your head, seedless watermelon.
It's the classic,
It's very
Wile E.
little-
Coyote, Roadrunner, put it the bird seed and have the anvil.
It's
except
And
classic mischief.
Yeah, classic mischief. And they undercut the reference by having Barney actually go meep beep at the end.
Yeah.
but not just doing that, but literally going as
And then-
Roadrunner would say to Wile E. Coyote.
Because kids these days don't know that.
Well, they might
We
not
gotta
actually.
spell
You
it
know
out.
what? They probably don't. Well, no. When was this episode aired? This was season 16, you said, right?
February 20, 2005.
That was like 20 years after people stopped caring about Bugs Bunny.
So then we meet the character of Hal Heuser. He's meant to be a parody of Huell Hauser. Do you guys know him?
He
No.
is the host of a show that has been going for like 20 years called California Gold.
He was the host. He's dead now.
I'm sorry, Huell. But
Yeah. May he
interesting
rest in
because again, this is one of those things where it kind of contradicts that it's based in Oregon because the show was all about like California and its kind of rich kind of history and its artistic and historical merit and everything. And this is obviously not California.
The Simpsons have never been consistent on what state it's set in, and it's only, I think, just to get a round of publicity in recent years announced that it was from Oregon. It's always
Quite
hinted
possibly.
that it was like Midwest coast, but like I think because they were so vague about its location, it afforded them some jokes.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. Hauser is like a definitive Californian sort of guy, and I know him because of the Hollywood Babylon podcast. Ralph Garman does a great impression of him, and that sent me down the spiral of looking at the YouTube's clips. Like, seriously, kids at home, go check out the one where he's talking about avocados. He goes out to an avocado
seen
farm,
that.
and he just loses his shit over this dog that's eating an avocado. He goes, "That dog's eating an avocado?
Look at him. Oh, he's eating an avocado.
That's amazing."
That's right. That's amazing. Yeah,
Yeah.
I can't even do it justice. I sound like a...
And then the farmer's like, "Well, yeah, the avocado gives him a shiny coat." And he's like, "It gives that dog, it got his shiny coat all right
From all that avocado.
from all the avocado." That's, it's even fun doing an impression of him.
Listen to this for days.
But in this, and this is where the episode kind of lost me completely for the rest of it, was the...
Within 2 minutes.
Yeah, where, Bart and Milhouse like, hey, everyone's wise to our shtick. Here's a new guy. Let's, show me. First place they go is, the river out back of the Springfield nuclear plant. There's like, warning, radioactivity. And Bart's like, no, this is where we have radio activities. And it's like...
Let's twist again.
And then, they do like a twist thing. And, it's
And
like,
then, and he
this
goes,
is dumb.
and go feed the fish. They're really friendly, and you think it's going to be Blinky. Oh, the three-eyed fish we know from...
Blinky is dead.
No, Blinky is dead, and this is the Blinky Kraken, which beats up Hal Hulser.
It's
More of
like
a
a
creature
creature from the Black Lagoon-esque one,
Yeah.
I think.
Yep.
And just it's so dumb. It's
It
so
is.
dumb. Why do they have those, like, the pocket radios that look like answering machines? You know,
I
that
don't
one,
know.
like the huge
Oh,
ones?
because it was 2005, and we were all twisting like we did
That's
last
true.
summer.
The iPhone was not out yet. That's my mistake. Sorry.
That's the thing. If you twist every summer, then you're going to continuously do it.
So they have him all beat up and stuff, and the thing that tears it is the classic...
The mousetrap gum. Do you want some gum? Oh. And then he does this weird finger thing. Is this like a curse?
that's
Where
apparently how you shame people.
is you shame people by looking like you stick your
Trying to, like,
index
do a
finger
flint.
out like a carrot, and then you, as if you were like grating it. You're grating it away from your body with your
No,
other
I-
index finger.
I have seen that before.
What
Yeah,
the fuck
really?
is that?
Yeah.
To
I've seen
shame someone, you must rub your index fingers like...
Yep.
Is it Jewish? Daniel,
No.
you're sort of
No,
Jewish.
I don't think it's Jewish. I think it's just folklore.
I've met Jews in the past. Haven't seen them do that.
And I do like how the bullies sort of recognize it and go, "Hey, he's shaming us." But then it ends up with them like stoning him, and
Yeah.
it's boring.
It
Fair,
did.
Springfield deserves the
Yeah,
rating.
it's a
Yes.
terrible
it deserves
town.
a 6 out of 10. So yeah, he goes on the Soft News Network, which again, as a conceit for a joke, I like, but it was very laboured and long. I've been all around this country, and this one I give my lowest ranking ever, a 6 out of 10.
The one thing I did like about this joke was the chef that's like doing it's like a morning show, like the Today Show or whatever.
Oh yeah, with the chef wizard.
So I hear you're releasing a new book, and it's like, yes, it's about Winston Churchill between World War I and II. But then, like,
I like
as he says, I give it a 6 out of 10. Like, you can see, like, the thing is, he just drops it, like, in shock. Like, he goes, oh, like, it's such a huge deal that Hal Huser has given it a 6 out of 10.
Yeah, it's like when Homer is a food reviewer and he goes, "Marge, this dinner gets my worst review ever. 7 thumbs up."
Which is a good joke. So anyway, to turn this bad image of Springfield around, they have a town hall meeting with a bunch
they do.
of gags, and even someone makes the gag. Can we have a real suggestion now, please? So the town hall meeting are like, "Yes, Lisa, great idea. We shall legalize gay marriage in our town, which should be called marriage equality, because it's not just about gay marriage.
Well,
it's
this was
about
2005. That's what we
Yeah.
called it then.
fair. It was a wild and crazy time.
And then they did the shittiest that's just, hey, we need 30 seconds taken up. Let's talk about Mo saying, "Hey, what's in a martini?"
Yeah.
And it's like, it's
I
Mel.
object, by the way. We know Mo went to bartender college and did very well from a previous episode where he goes back and his old professor commits suicide.
He goes, what's in a martini? And Sideshow Mel, who's sitting beside him for some reason, is like, it's a vermouth and gin.
To precedent my own
that
precedent, there's a bit where he goes, gin and tonic? Do those mix?
Yeah.
Before the bartender episode. So I don't know what to believe anymore, Simpsons.
Well, either
Maybe
way,
he'd
it's a
been-
bad gag because it was long and drawn out at the start, and then when they bring it back again as the act break joke, which is, what if I had a lean cuisine mixed with vodka?
that was
That would
dumb.
be a lean cuisine.
That was fucking
no,
terrible.
That was terrible. Oh my god.
that's something I'd come up with.
Although
The
a
worst part
lean,
is even
no.
Mo is just like, no.
a lean cuisine with beer, that'd be like a man meal for
That's
one.
what I throw up every Sunday morning.
That's what keeps you lean.
Now you're getting it.
It's looking after yourself.
Oh,
Hello, ads from the 90s.
it's okay. It's lean cuisine.
Sorry, we
Oh.
should be more in the time. Ads from 2005. I think I'd stopped watching TV then.
Yeah.
Telstra!
It's,
Be their new ad campaign.
Telstra.
We make phones.
when was the? It's to keep the rabbits out. It's too many rabbits.
Marge, the rains are here.
Oh yeah, good one.
Whereas, now we've got NBN. No one would use that, even if we paid you.
Yeah, by the way, Malcolm Turnbull, what a cunt, decides to advocate for the copper to the node plan instead of dark fiber to the house. Like, seriously, you don't have to be a technology expert to know that that is a cunt move.
I don't even know what those words mean, and I disagree.
Especially since he used to be like all about, he was for the ETS and he was for all this other shit. As soon as he gets Prime Minister, hey, I'm going to cater to the right. Well, fuck you, Malcolm. That's what I say.
Yep. The political index.
My name is Fraud and Just.
Anyway, so Act 2 comes in with a song. I want to marry my husband, Harry. Okay, oh, it is so gay, oh.
Why did
that
they-
was terrible.
But wasn't it kind of an advertisement for Springfield?
Yeah, Springfield, oh, you can get married here, oh, gay, oh, let's say gay, oh, about
To be
10
fair,
times.
at least it has the context of that's why they legalize gay marriage for the tourism. That's why they have the ad. At least it has a purpose for being there.
And it would, okay,
It's a
actually, and it would kind of make sense that the ad's a bit gross,
Yeah, it's a bad song, but they're literally pimping their own town, saying this is the only reason we've legalized this is to get the tourism. Therefore, they have a grotesque ad for it. It works. Unlike the last one where Kent Brockman just goes, and now here's a song.
Yeah.
Sorry, so just as part of that joke, the website is Springfield is for lovers of gaymarriage.com. Which is like, of course, the website that he would set up and authorize.
Yeah.
Because he has no idea about how humans work.
So, the twist in the story, which I kind of like, was Reverend Lovejoy going, hey, whoa, we might have passed this as town law, but, our church isn't performing gay marriages, which makes sense as a plot point, because that is still a debate that's going on in countries which do have marriage equality.
And that's the thing. Even if you legalize it as a form of federal legislation, doesn't necessarily mean that religious sections have to recognize it from a religious standpoint. And that's fine.
But I did like his way of countering the queue of gay people lining up to get married was just to board a single plank of wood across the doors. That was enough to keep people out. We're saying no. There's no more people getting into this
He
church.
read somewhere in the Bible that homosexuals are afraid of 2x4s.
The Bible, Marge.
But then he says, it's as ridiculous as putting a hamburger in a hot dog bun. And I'm like, I want to try that. I'm going to make that right now. I'm pausing the fucking...
I thought the hamburger and a hot dog bun was some kind of weird innuendo.
I think it was. I think it was meant to be.
So yeah, Homer takes advantage of this gap in the marketplace and decides to become another priest. So another Homer job storyline, and I think
Yes.
it absolutely suits.
It does.
Yeah.
He's very opportunistic on this. He immediately puts down the gay marriage never as soon as he finds he can profit from it.
Which,
and
as
gets all
horrible
day.
as it is, it's a funny joke. That
Yeah.
And I do like him printing out a perforated priest collar.
it's hilarious.
I was going to say as well, but then he immediately starts marrying a bunch of just gay stereotypes.
Yeah,
And
that's
it really annoyed
potentially
me.
where its downfall is in trying to be progressive. Is that they're all just total hardcore stereotypes.
Like Julio, who
Well,
is
he's-
the first one he marries.
Yeah.
He's an established character in the Simpsons universe at this point.
Is Julio?
Yeah.
I did not know him. Sorry.
Oh, okay. I think he was first introduced in Three Gays of the Condo, the one where Homer moves in with two homosexual guys and Weird
Yeah.
Al Yankovic
Yeah,
helps
yeah.
save his marriage.
And along with the gay stereotype is the, who's next? Is it Adam and Steve or Madam and Eve?
Yep. So they blitz through all the gay couples in Springfield very quickly.
I'll say that line, the Adam and Eve or Madam and Steve, whatever. I kind of like it because it turns the counter argument from the conservative on its head.
So Homer decides he's going to start performing straight weddings, and there's a ridiculous scene with him prancing around. Ooh, I'm straight. I'm gonna do.
Yeah, see, that was dumb. I can't remember where it happened, but there's a bit where they're talking about Krusty Burger and the Whatchamacarcus.
Oh, that was
That was-
great.
I really
if
like
we could all
that.
just take a moment to say Whatchamacarcus, it's quite fun.
All right, let's go
Whatchamacarcus.
around the room and starting with me. Whatchamacarcus.
Whatchamacarcus?
Whatchamacarcus.
Whatchamacarcus? It's fun.
Whatchamacarcus with me. Whatchamacarcus with you.
And now a quiet moment so those of you at home can say it. Wasn't that fun?
I actually did like that they interrupted the news story with Krusty calling and being like, "Look, whatchamacarcus," because it threw it back, but in quite a funny way.
Yeah, Whatchamacarcus is clean meat from diseased animals.
Everybody does it. Yeah.
And it was a great way to bookend the whole smart line thing with Homer and Reverend Lovejoy, which, I don't know, it wasn't good. Like, it was Homer being
Yeah.
his typical dumb, oblivious self to the situation where he's trying to get a high five from Reverend Lovejoy, and he's like, no, I'm going to leave you hanging. And
I swear they've done that before, and then later on Homer's hand is still up.
yeah.
I did like the bit though where it's like Homer says to Ken, like, just call me your holiness, and Ken goes, I just can't.
yeah.
Yes, that was good.
They kind of allude to a murky relationship between Lenny and Carl, where Homer kind of is like, oh, maybe I'll be
Yeah.
able to marry, and Madge is like, just don't push them, they'll get there
Yeah,
on
that
their
was a bit
own.
much.
Yeah, it was labored.
I didn't mind it, I guess. I mean, you knew there was going to be something about Lenny and Carl in this episode, and for that to be it, I was okay. I could live with that.
It wasn't the worst offender of a gross Lenny and Carl joke, but I don't know. I thought it was unnecessary personally.
I was going to say, grosser was the Cletus joke that just was kind of shoehorned in there that just didn't need to
Yeah.
be. It was like, it says here,
Wait.
your brother and sisters.
We's
There's not
lots
much.
of things.
Yeah. Oh.
And it's another thing that I'm noticing with the newer Simpsons is that, like, they are just cutting to Cletus for, like, a hee-haw, like, Saturday Night Live gag, and, like, okay, now here's Billy. Oh, not Billy, you rednecks are fun. Gook. Oh, I'm gonna fuck my sister in her mouth. Yuck, yuck, yuck. Wait, I thought she was your aunt. She's both. And her vagina is actually her ear.
Shit is going on.
I'm just quoting
You don't
the
know enough
Simpsons.
rednecks, do you?
I'm just saying that's like the 975th worst thing I've ever heard. So then,
All right, closing out Act 2, Patty comes out to Marge. And look, I just want to say, is Patty looking a bit slimmer and less bosomy in this episode, or is it just me?
She has lost some weight.
Her
Yeah.
hair is definitely smaller. I feel like her hair is come down to a slight afro. Does anyone? I wrote down a note here, and I can't remember it. I wrote, Homer wants to kill Patty.
Yep.
Yeah, that was a recurring gag. And then she kept burning him with the cigarettes.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
yeah.
actually liked that.
Me too.
Those were quite short and funny.
Yeah, first in the hand, and then one, like, she flicked it in his eye.
Yeah.
I do like she had the precision.
Yeah, she
was
did.
deadly accurate with that flick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Patty comes out to Marge, and she's all flustered about the whole thing. And,
And also, Patty's always been gay, except for that time with Seymour.
well, she was constantly evasive with him. Like, I feel like, having watched this episode...
Damn it, man, that was true love.
It was true love from Seymour's end, and it was true pity and denial from Patty's end.
She says at the end, it's not that I don't love you. You love me, Kaloo-Kalay!
You could tell she was just trying to let Seymour down gently. But she didn't see him as a desirable...
She wasn't his tater tot.
No. And you need to find a woman that'll look at you the way that...
Seymour looks at tater tots.
So getting into Act 3, Patty's like, come on, you could have seen the writing on the wall. And then we go through the signs of Patty's persuasion montage.
Which 2 of the jokes are like subtle references to Marge does something, Patty does something gay. And then the third one...
Yeah, I like that the
Making
third
out.
one was like, the first 2 were subtle, and then the third one was just all out making out with a chick.
Yeah.
I will maintain to what Clanny and I were arguing before that, it seems to be going to make Marge the amalgamation of everyone who supports this until it affects them, but it doesn't do it well in the sense that when she finds out that Patty's fiancé is in fact a dude, is like, oh, well, fuck you, Patty, instead of like, oh God, I've got to stop this for her own sake. She takes that moment of, well, she's getting a surprise.
Well,
Yeah.
as I said, jerk ass Marge.
Yeah, it's
like,
a very jerk-ass Marge moment. It's,
what a bitch. And she even skips off as
yeah,
well.
like,
Yeah.
look.
Forgetting for the fact that Homer makes a veil for Patty in the start that is a paper bag with a veil on top that says "Do not feed" on top of it, and Patty doesn't care about that. She cares about the veil is on the paper bag. Doesn't
And it
care
smells
about
like
what it says.
cheeseburgers.
Yeah, and then so Homer steals it back, obviously, but still, it's like oh Jesus Christ, what is wrong with you writers right now?
So the Simpsons organize a dinner to meet Patty's fiance, who is a professional golfer, and so they're obviously doing the story parodying that professional golfer that was found out to be a man posing as a woman around this time.
But all female golfers are lesbians, of course.
A horse is a horse, of course.
And that's what feels wrong about this episode, that it sort of is like being progressive, but
Also
just-
playing very heavily on the stereotypes,
Yeah, exactly. But Marge sort of actually had a funny reaction to Patty, which was, oh, yeah, sure, girls can marry girls. Take a bear to church. Change your name to Gooper Glop.
Oh, I forgot that you were changing your name.
Read
yeah.
a Bible with your feet.
Yeah. And that was funny, because...
No, I feel like that was her overloaded with information all of a sudden and
Yeah.
then just kind of spazzing out because of it. At that point, I was still okay with it. It's more what follows and how she gets to the revelation.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
There was a bit as well where it was like they were talking about it, and it's like, that's what Mum would have wanted, but like their mum isn't dead.
Yeah, she's at the wedding.
She's at the wedding later on. They
Yup.
show her
Yeah.
in full character. Like, what the hell are they talking about? I don't understand.
Oh, is it when he stabs himself to
Hieroglyphics.
kill the bee or
Oh,
something?
yeah. I thought that was actually a great cutaway where the fly lands on his hand and he's holding a knife and he's like, I'm going to get you. And then it cuts away and then you hear the stabbing sound like that.
It's again, that's the thing. It's not a good joke, but compared to a lot of episodes, which would have just shown him putting the
Yeah.
knife through his hand, the fact they did it off camera was better.
And I did like that it cut away to someone being like, well, it looks like that'll be pretty soon. Like,
Yeah. So anyway, it's the morning of the wedding, and I like how it's revealed that Selma recently married Disco Stu.
Oh,
Disco Stu is getting an annulment from you.
Yep.
from
So
a
now
week.
she's what is it? Selma Bouvier Twilliger Hutz McClure Stu.
Yeah, assuming Stu is his last name.
It just seems
disco,
so.
stew.
It just seems so unnecessary, though. Like, why? Oh, but actually, no. Less unnecessary than the following joke where Homer talks about marrying himself, and there's that
Yeah.
5-second
Oh my
sequence.
God, how
So
bad
weird.
was
with
that?
children. Stupid.
Homer just making out with himself, like, oh God, Homer, I love you.
It was
Oh,
like
Homer,
crossing
I love
something
you.
off the animator's bucket list.
Oh my God, it was
To
the worst thing I've
animate
ever seen.
Homer making out with himself in front of his children that he bred
Yeah.
with himself.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, Adventure Time Index. You know that episode of The Glitch where the gross video of the girl eating her own hair makes
Yeah.
everybody throw up? That's what
Yeah.
that felt like to me. That was like somebody has put a virus
Yeah,
on the
in
screen
Simpsons
and I can't stop it.
I'm surprised they didn't pull some weak homosexual gag there.
Yeah.
Like they did in Principal Charming. Check that out on episode 20.
Or even back to one free wig with purchase of large wig. And then, I love you, Homer. I don't need her at all anymore.
No,
Yeah.
I love that joke.
Yeah, me too.
That's a good
That's
one.
a good version of the same joke, essentially.
This one was terrible. So, yeah, this is where I think the message of the episode undoes itself because it is a little transphobic. So,
Yeah.
Marge catches Veronica leaving the seat up after she does her business in the bathroom.
Veronica
and
being
then she's
Selma's
fiance, and then she's hackily singing "Dude Looks Like a Lady" as she's shaving. It's such a terrible way to telegraph the plot.
Well, what do you sing when shaving, dude?
I'm a little embarrassed to reveal that.
I mean, for me, it's Birds Suddenly Appear. But, you know.
Like
Every time my Gillette comes near.
Look, I think he could have gotten away with. I mean, it wasn't funny, but the saying the line twice was too much.
Yeah.
If he'd done it once, it would have been a bad joke and moved on.
Yeah.
But they really wanted to drive that home in case I missed it the first time.
Nah. And so comes into the final scene with the marriage, and Homer goes, "Queerly beloved." It didn't sit that well with me.
And does the obligatory, if anyone has any objections, please speak now.
Which actually, in the context of this episode, I didn't mind. It's just the episode was overall pretty annoying.
To
at
be
this
fair,
point.
that's only a thing they do in movies and sitcoms, so it makes sense they put it in a sitcom.
Sure.
But the thing is, if she was any kind of good sister, which we know she's not because she's willing to like...
She's being jerk-ass Marge, yeah.
Patty is going to have a surprise tonight.
It's going to be cock.
But she still decides, hey, I'm going to ruin her marriage in the middle most important part by just speaking up, not like taking her aside at the
Didn't try
start
to
of the
catch her
ceremony.
earlier.
No.
Didn't try
Just
to
a
interrupt the ceremony as
fucking
soon as
asshole.
it started. Yeah, it's
Yeah, just
She
such
was wrestling with her conscience.
No, there
No.
was
As
no
defined
hint of that.
by-
Oh,
She was
Wrong.
high-fiving her demons. Not wrestling.
It's going to be awesome, guys. Check
You're
it
a
out.
poet, man. You're a poet.
She goes up, rips off the neck collar, and reveals the Adam's apple, which is a kind of funny reveal, but like it does feel a bit like, I don't know.
Little bit Ace Ventura.
Yeah.
Oh, man. It
Which
really
does-
felt like they were doing the Ace Ventura.
Which Ace Ventura does not hold up as a movie. Like,
And I just hate it how then Veronica, I can't remember the other name, her voice just changes like instantly.
Yeah.
To like, oh, I'm sorry, Patty. like,
out.
Yeah.
so sorry.
Can you accept me as the man you fell in love with?
And then that stupid name gag, like, oh, Leslie. Like,
yeah, that's what it was. It was like, yeah, it was all like
Leslie Sunshine Shimmerburst.
yeah.
bisexual names. Not bisexual. What is it? Asexual. No, it's not that
Androgynous.
either. Unisex names.
Unisex.
I got there in the end.
That was a fun journey, though.
I was going through all LGBTQIA.
Batman symbol.
L7.
I want someone to set that to the alphabet. LGBTQIA.
Done.
Oh, I
Yeah.
thought that was a funnier bit than it was. All right, well, you won't be
took
hearing
more-
that at my open mic night this
Hey!
Tuesday.
It took more thinking than I'm used to in these, so I was catching
Too
up.
much thinking, not enough drinking.
I'm trying, but I've only got one mouth.
All right, so yeah, basically the end is Patty and Selma skipping off into the distance. Patty rejected Veronica because she has dick, and there was a post-credit sequence with...
That was a chance for Patty to take this sort of moral higher ground than Marge. It doesn't matter if
Yeah.
they have a dick or not, da-da-da-da-da. Where
no,
Marge
no,
is
see,
all
that's
like,
the problem.
sexual, homosexual.
No. She's gay. Like, that's the whole point. It's not that the lesbian is just waiting to find the right dick and then she'll be happy in the marriage. It's about actually being in love with a woman. And besides all that, he actually lied to her the whole time and all that sort of crap as well. But... there's way too much literature about it being like, oh, if you just found the right man, you would stop being a lesbian. So,
Well, she does have that
Yeah.
line when he says, "Can you accept me for the man you fell in love with?" She says, "I like girls. Fuck off."
And to top it all off, there was the awkward post-credits bit with the sea captain, and what the fuck was the joke even then? I forgot.
It was because they obviously Homer had married all the gay people in town, and there was
yeah, so now he's marrying anything.
he's marrying McAllister to his figurehead.
Yep.
He's marrying a comic book guy to the
Boobarella.
Boobarella,
Cut out.
Cut out.
and then Ralph to a tiger, a full-grown tiger.
That's a child as well. That can't consent to a marriage to a tiger.
see, but that's the other thing I didn't like about this episode is that, if they're trying to take the moral high ground, of saying, look, gay marriage is just, it's a right. Like, go for it. It's what you should be doing, no matter what the reason, whatever, just legalize it and let people be happy. But, that's such a stupid argument that is sort of carried through by Reverend Lovejoy and by Marge when she's going through her little mind melt. of, oh, well, what's next then? It could open the door to anything. And then they actually open the door to anything.
Yeah.
I
It's
get
like-
that it's Homer. I get that it's a joke. But it really, as the last thing you see in the episode, it's kind of like and you're right. They started off with gay marriage. Now look
Now
where they
crazy
are.
bullshit. Yeah, I agree in that it's taking all the any goodwill they've built from the episode and setting it on fire. Largely being that conservative approach of, if we allow this, what crazy shit is next? To be fair, the church in this episode is just saying, look, we don't recognize as part of our religion. They don't say, if we allow this, crazy people will marry their figureheads from their boats next.
Yeah.
And yet to end it on that is such a weird, dumb note. It's,
Yeah.
undermining everything they've built. The very little they built. It's like the floor and maybe a bit of, structural work. But, yeah.
Is this
That's
the
it.
first episode where Patty is like out and
Yeah.
out lesbian?
There's lots of hints to it before, like
Yeah.
when they're doing, there's like a parade going through Springfield.
It's in the closet.
Yeah. The people in the closet with Smithers and Patty. It's implied, and it's just their voices. Yeah, we're gay. We're glad, but don't tell mom and dad.
Can I quickly point out? Oh, this is the best time to point it out.
Daniel's anal corner.
In the last episode before this one, there were a lot of weird point of view shots of Marge like lecturing the audience. Did anyone else notice that?
No.
No.
This is a different episode, so it's the best time to talk about it.
Yeah, go ahead.
When Homer was all like,
They're in bed. I did notice.
yeah, and there was like 30 seconds of just
Oh.
like Marge addressing
Yeah.
the camera with her
But
beliefs.
she's leaning up at a weird angle, almost like she's kind of bending at like a 30-degree angle towards her legs, but then looking back at Homer, who's laying back on his pillow. Yeah, I
didn't
did
feel
notice that.
comfy. It didn't feel
No.
in the style of The Simpsons, and it really felt like just a way to preach about. It was Elon Musk to preach about Elon Musk even more directly to the audience, just in case we weren't getting it from the other 30 minutes of the fucking episode.
Elon Musk. Elon Musk. Elon Musk.
Time for the questionnaire. So, storyline-wise, this was an A throughout. It had a dogleg left-turned version at the first act to get into the main plot. Did it feel like an episode of The Simpsons?
Say like mostly yes. Marge was a little off point because she's trying to be that audience surrogate, but then she is just such a jerk ass Marge all of a sudden.
Which is not a side of her we like.
But Homer's
No.
very opportunistic and money grubbing. Bart's the brat who wants to pull pranks. All the other pieces fit fairly
Yeah.
well.
Homer's greedy.
I'm
What a
gonna say,
surprise.
Yeah.
just barely felt like a Simpsons.
And
Like,
to what you were saying the other week about, what does it feel like to be a Simpsons episode in the teens era, like, it was traditional at The Simpsons to do these first act left turns where the first act is so inconsequential to the rest of the show that, yeah, that is kind of indicative of The Simpsons at that point, but it still didn't work in this instance.
No.
Nope. Play count. Okay, actually, first of all, who's seen this episode before?
yo,
Yo.
What's your play count?
1.
Yeah. Wait, 2 maybe between us?
Yeah.
I won now. Sorry.
Wow.
That was your
Feel like
first?
a half.
Yeah, I'm new. I'm.
Jordan?
Like a sex machine. 0. Sorry.
That's not how
Just
sex
like
machine. Wait,
just
is
like
that how
a
sex
One,
machine
one,
works?
0, 0, 1, 0.
You need to adjust the settings on your sex machine if it's at 0.
1001001.
Yeah, like season 16, not one that I visit often. I'd say I've seen this 4 times most. Like, it's not one that I revisit often.
Why not, Elliot?
I don't like it. So wackiness. Yeah, the Hal Hughes a bit with the blinky that came from the bottom of the ocean.
It was reasonably
That's
wacky,
about it,
but it
though.
wasn't.
Oh,
I
there
don't
was
know.
the Roadrunner gag as well.
Yeah, but there was nothing that wacky that drove the plot, though. There was no specific,
Yeah.
there were just a
No.
couple of quick gags.
Oh,
And even wacky marriage gags was all in the post credits, right?
the Ace Ventura reveal was pretty wacky.
Yeah.
And then like pulling off the Adam's apple, the necklace
Yeah,
to
yeah.
reveal the Adam's apple being like, whoa, what?
Pulling
And
off
it-
the
and-
Adams.
Yeah,
No.
I like that at this point, Patty has never seen her fiance's neck.
Well, they actually did say that they were saving themselves
Yeah,
for the wedding night,
neck.
which
This is true.
Yeah.
but-
Neck.
yeah.
Unless you live in Transylvania, you're okay with people seeing your neck.
Well,
I've seen the
also-
neck of everyone in this room except Elliot, who's hidden behind a beard.
You whore!
Well, also because the fact that earlier in the episode she's not wearing a skivvy type
She's not, is
dress.
she?
She's wearing a with a normal neckline, a round neckline.
She did a neck tuck. Like,
Would you fuck me? I'd fuck me.
It's like when you're sucking your gut, how you're sucking your Adam's apple.
Yeah. Actually, I was going to say how it is kind of wacky with some of the violence for just small jokes with very little payoff. With the
sandpaper
flicking,
off the face.
the
the
angle
hand.
grinder or whatever it is to the face, and the flicking the cigarette into the eye, and then Homer stabbing himself
The
in the
knife
hand.
fly, yeah.
I think the wacky didn't hurt the episode though.
No.
That wasn't
No.
the problem with the episode.
But
Yeah,
it
they were
didn't-
just little quick throwaway bits that didn't.
I don't know if it added.
I didn't add, but it was very neutral. Yeah.
Yeah, it was more the story progression and the lack of heart in this
Oh.
episode. What'd you think of it?
Yeah, pretty much non-existent. It could have and should have been there for Marge's acceptance.
Yeah,
I'm
absolutely.
okay with her having a problem with it and then growing to it, sure. But the way it was done was just so hackneyed and sloppy and boring.
The thing was, it was the end result of Marge being like, "Oh, she's going to get a surprise." I would have even been a bit okay with, because even though it's very mean,
It's a scummy
of Marge,
thing, yeah.
But
You could have
at
gone
this-
somewhere.
The simple fact is that at the start of the episode, she was so for same-sex marriage. If she had not been for it so vehemently in the first half of the episode, I would have almost believed that she could play this almost trick on her sister. But then it was because there was this juxtaposition of oh no, I'm for it, but then oh no, suddenly I'm gonna be a complete bitch.
And that's the thing. They used Marge when they could have used pretty much anybody else in the town who hadn't been so passionately for it.
They could have just kept doing it.
could have been
Reverend
Selma.
Lovejoy and
Yeah.
I mean, like
or
Reverend Lovejoy.
Selma, yeah.
Selma, I mean, is so she might have had an ulterior motive, being like, "Oh, look, it's not that I'm against gay marriage. I just didn't want you to leave."
Yeah, that would.
Yeah.
You know, that could have been a sort of they pushed the point, but they gave her a closure that you could still feel some sympathy for her. And no, they just used it as Marge learning a lesson that she didn't really have to learn in the first place, which they always do.
They give her that joke even at the end where it's like, oh, I didn't have a jigsaw puzzle to do. I just wanted to make you jealous.
It would have
Yeah.
tied in much better.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. And, this is actually an episode where I like the actual bullet points of the plot here, but they just didn't execute it well at all.
Not at all.
So,
You're right.
which makes me ask, would you watch it again?
No.
Maybe.
No.
I wouldn't avoid it if it's on a disc and I couldn't be bothered to move. The old hangover question.
The season 16 disc is pretty bleak, though.
Yeah, but I'm assuming I didn't put it on myself. Like if I'm in a saw trap, it's like I want to play a game. You can either walk through this hallway of knives or watch The Simpsons 16 in its entirety. I'd be like, cool, entirety. Let's go, Jigsaw, you dick.
I'm pretty sure this is either the last or the second last episode on disc, so it'd be a real easy decision for me to go, oh, next disc, eject.
You suddenly feel like doing the dishes
that's true.
when this episode
That's
comes
true.
along.
So much laundry to do.
Let's rank this thing. All right, let's kick it off with BT.
I'm gonna give it a whatchamacarcass. No, for reals. I feel like it's going for a good point, and it has half of it there, but it doesn't land it. I'm gonna go participant because it's not in the hate territory for me, or even. There's not a lot. There's a few jokes that are okay. I'll take whatchamacarcass any day of the week. It's arguably worth it for that alone, but there's just nothing really there to recommend above just passing grade.
Sure
So
thing.
it gets a D minus.
All right, Jordan. Jfro.
This is why I was kind of I was talking about before about kind of a participant being almost a kind of a one that you can just file away and just forget, that you never need to revisit. It's there, and yes, you remember it, but there's no
It
kind
exists.
of there's some bad episodes that at least have some good jokes, and this one is kind of just a complete I could forget all of it and I wouldn't be worse off for it, I don't feel. So it's participant for me. It's not enough to hate it. It's not so bad. There's some which brings up some really kind of, for me, objectionable material almost, where I'm kind of like, this is really making me angry, and I wish they hadn't made this episode. This one is just kind of, it's 2005. Yes, I guess they were trying to be
That's the way
progressive.
It feels like they're trying, they're just not quite getting it, but at
it's
least
just-
they're trying,
Yeah.
And it's just a kind of a thing. It's like, well, I can just gloss over this, and for that, it's participant for me.
Yeah. Clanny?
All right, so head 1 was thinking bronze. Head 2 was thinking participant. But the more people talk about it, the more I think we've agreed on a participant. Really? Yeah, I mean, look, it's not the worst. It is very bland, though. And there's enough of it going really wobbly in the middle that sort of knocks it out of bronze. I think the first half was bronze, but it really just didn't work. It lost its character. It lost its message if it had one.
Yeah, I'm just echoing my sentiments from before. It's a participant from me. It's like, it had good ideas for plot points, but the execution just wasn't there. And its message was overall positive, which actually does bring it up a few points for me. So yeah, participant for me. All right, cool. Unanimous participant for There's Something About Marrying.
Woo.
All right, we will be back.
Planning, I like half the socks.
We are back, and we just watched Lisa the Beauty Queen, Season
4,
Episode 4. First premiered in October 15th in 1992. Probably hit Australian shores about 1993. Mm-hmm. And in this episode, Lisa literally becomes a beauty queen.
Gasp.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's a good enough synopsis. Guys,
Yes.
what did you think?
The title at the top of my page and a half of notes, all of which is positive, is Flawless Victory. It's everything. It's tight. It's hilarious. The plot is great. Everything is fantastic.
I threw the floor to Jordan and Claire to pick out an episode, and you picked this one. I'm like, oh, you sure? This one doesn't really... Okay, well, whatever. Let's go with it.
I actually have to say I was really surprised that you had that reaction. I was like, what the hell? Like, this is such a good episode.
Well, I think it's one of the ones where its greatness comes from its quick, subtle jokes and the fact that they're so... Like, it's just... The whole way is just a highway of jokes.
Bang, bang,
Yeah, and rather than having huge standout moments, and when you watch it critically, everything just flows so perfectly. It's so good.
And I have to say, like, I know it's jumping ahead to the questionnaire and everything, but we've done a lot of episodes where you've asked if there's been heart in them. And I've always felt that that's been a little bit like, oh, not really. I kept sort of going, didn't really feel much. But this is one where there is a lot of heart. Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's a really lovely Homer and Lisa episode.
But it doesn't go for it the whole episode, which is surprising. It's sort of in there at the start and then in there at the end, but it comes to such a beautiful resolution. Like,
well, the good thing is it's everyone is supporting Lisa. Marge tries to support Lisa. She's not as good at it, but she's there for her little girl, you know, and she's even there for Homer, like explaining where he's coming from, even though he apparently stuffs up in her eyes.
Yeah.
But Bart and Lisa. Bart's incredibly supportive and really funny. Like, a lot of the gags come from him.
You kidding? I'm starting to think I could win.
Exactly. Like, he's really, he's on the money in this episode.
So many jokes, like just like crammed into the first with like Skinner and then Bart and Willie, like with the haggis 50 cent, like all of it. And it was actually like, it wasn't just like a really long setup with a kind of a very little payoff joke. It was just very quick, just instant jokes.
It was sort of it was clearly setting up to the part where she gets the portrait of herself.
Yeah,
absolutely.
But none of it felt wasted.
Oh no,
exactly. Yeah, and it was a great setup that led to the rest of the plot. So
and
so let's bring it
actually in a similar way that the Mr. Plow episode like surprised me of how tight this one is, both story and jokes, that the episode is serving both equally so well. Like, makes me want to cry. But we should go back to the start, and the top of Act 1 is the
school carnival,
the happiest place on earth, and it starts out with unintentional theme, Disney lawyers.
I like how the lawyer works, for Burns and for Disney, so that kind of gives you a measure of how maybe powerful Burns is.
Yeah,
he's got the same lawyer as the Disney lawyer.
Yeah, like how we're talking about how Lindsay Nagel is always the executive, no matter what executive you need. Does he even have a name? He's just the lawyer.
Blue-haired lawyer.
Blue-haired lawyer is the lawyer for everyone.
That's what his name is in Tapped Out, so I'm taking that as his official name.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah.
But it's just a local school fair.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. And they're like, no, we're going to have to insist you cease and desist immediately. No, I'm afraid you've just got an ex-Green Beret mad.
Awesome mini action sequence there.
And he's got the great action one-liner. Then While straightening his tie, copyright expired.
So 80s action.
This whole opening sequence, though, we talk about teens and HD episodes. That first little bit is just, it's so tenuously linked to the rest of the episode, whereas this just feels so natural.
Yeah.
And it's so nice. And there's so many gags in it as well. It's not just kind of like, we need to wring as much material out of it as we can with the Bart.
Three-card Monty.
The
Three-card Monty.
smoke screen.
With the
Yeah.
smoke. It's exactly totally Bart.
It's beautiful, isn't it?
Yeah,
The
and
skinner thing, the Willy thing with the haggis, like trying to
This
get
as
people.
good as your sounds.
That's the thing. It's like 2 minutes of these crammed jokes of like quick cuts to the stalls at Springfield Primary School's fair, and like all indicative of the characters.
And hey, Otto Man, I dare you this thing to go faster.
Yeah.
You know, oh man, that was
I'll be in Mexico till this thing blows over.
And the guy guessing Homer's age and weight, and he's like,
Yeah.
you're like
Joke's
60.
on you.
you know what this market reminded me of? The market at the start of the other episode where it's like Ned buys Ned, only candy glass, and he's all like rainbow suspenders.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that was a bunch of funny gags thrown together, and then they just drop the market thing, and suddenly it's a Bush moving in next door episode.
Yep.
It's like the exact same bit, except not tied into the rest of the episode.
Well, because of what I
Well,
like
it
about
is
this,
tied.
It does. Okay, eventually leads to Lisa getting the cartoonist portrait of her. What I really like is this feels like how a child would rate their self-worth. They look goofy on a caricature, so they feel bad.
Sorry, I was saying this episode is tied in way good, where the other one wasn't. Sorry.
Oh, right.
No, I mean,
Of course it is. This episode is so quotable, and in this particular moment, we're talking about the thing where it's like, you like roller skating? Not really. Everybody loves roller skating, which is just endlessly quoting. Whenever I see a roller skater or a roller blader, it doesn't matter. I'm going to say that fucking line because this episode has ingrained it into my brain.
So yeah, this first bit is filled with the rapid fire gags, but it ultimately is a domino that falls perfectly into the next part of the story, which is Lisa feeling ugly and goofy based on this caricature. Because as teenagers, we were all insecure at that time.
What we also take from that is Homer also wins a ride on the Duff Blimp, which again we get some great lines from when he's like, wow, ride on the Duff Blimp, what would that be like? It's like, and if you look to your right, you'll see some central pivot irrigation. Wow. And then,
that's funny, like jumping ahead to jokes that flew over my head, which was that
dreams are made.
Yeah, I mean, the banality of that one flew over my head at the time, but as a kid, it was like, I liked the whole, they stop into Springfield Stadium, and of course they're holding up a Homer thing because they knew he was going to fly
fantasy
over a
works.
blimp that day.
That's how fantasy works. And then he was like, Flanders won the shoe buffer. We have a perfectly good shoe buffer at home. I want that one.
I think that leads into again, one of my favorite quotes of the he's so upset about not winning second place and he wins first place. He's like, oh my god, oh my god, it's so overdone. But it's like, yes.
But it leads so perfectly into the house where Homer is walking through the hallways, like basically doing nothing else but singing, "Hey there, Blimpy boy, flying through the sky so fancy free." Nice harmonies there, guys.
Beautiful.
But yeah, he's almost doing nothing else, wandering through the house, just so excited by his prize, and then notices poor little Lisa there.
And that's a really good scene where he's trying to cheer up. He's going, you're cute as a bug's ear, which is also one of my favorite little quotes.
She's like,
you have
parents
to
have
say
to
that.
say that.
Yeah, you have to say stuff like that. And straight away, Grandpa Simpson walked past and he goes, Dad, am I cute as a bug's ear? No, you're homely as a mule's butt. See?
Homely.
I know.
Like,
It's somehow more cutting than ugly as a mule's butt.
it's almost a metaphor for the Simpsons episodes where we go, some of the more plain episodes are actually somehow worse than the ones that are outright bad. Mm-hmm. Like how they just dull you to death. That's the same thing, being as homely as a mule's
I would even
butt.
cite the previous two episodes. At least the gay marriage one went for a point. It didn't land it, but it tried.
Also,
But
It didn't take, but it was worth a try.
where Marge says, oh, Homer, you're looking at it through a father's eyes. And he said, well, if I could gouge someone else's eyes out and shove them in my sockets, but I can, and I think she's my daughter, and she's beautiful. And I'm like, oh, you know what? That's so lovely, and it's so Homer, to a T. Like, he's not... I mean, later Simpsons complete disputes this, but he's not an idiot. He gets things wrong, but he loves his family so much.
If he
Just
could gouge out the eyes of some random
absolutely.
stranger and shove them in his sockets, he would.
But his daughter is, to him, the most beautiful creature on earth.
Yeah.
Also, I have to say, like, to jump back slightly, Marge trying to comfort her, going, I know a song that'll cheer you up. There once was an ugly duckling.
So you think I'm
saying
ugly?
No, you're one of the pretty ducks that make fun of the ugly one. And it just undermines that.
I like to
terrible.
think that in that moment she was like covering for herself, but then realizing the
Yeah,
moral of the story.
that's exactly
Yeah,
what
exactly.
it was. It's her with the big bowl of strawberry ice cream. It's like
Yeah.
this worked for me, and oh shit, that's terrible.
And that's sort of what we were getting to in the previous episode, the conservative nature of Marge, that she is so naive. She just wants to think the best of everything. And
Well, I always get the feeling she's grown up in that old world, which had
Yeah.
an answer for everything, except now it's come to the point where those answers don't fit anymore and they don't work. And there's always that little bit of Marge who's holding on to it, but also appreciating that it's not really going to work in this family.
I know, and Lisa's like, oh my god, she's just not woke.
Well, later, Lisa.
But her eyebrows are on fleek.
This podcast recorded in 2017.
There was really beautiful shot that kind of went from the really bright like cartooniness of the happy blimpy boy with him like frolicking. Would you say frolicking? Possibly even flouncing down the street.
Too much dancing, not nearly enough prancing.
Yeah, prancing. He was prancing.
Frankly, some mincing would have been nice.
And then through the door, you see dark with a flickering candle and the sullen silence of. It was like a scene out of The Exorcist or something. It's exactly how to bring the mood down from a peripheral in a different room. And then you cut to in the next scene where Blimpy Boy is like washed by gray. It's like dishwater gray, and he's got the sad pickle instead of a blimp.
It's still a pretty big pickle, I just want to say. Like, still pretty decent.
Yeah, oh yeah, it is a happy pickle.
You could tell he was so depressed he went down to eat some pickles. You know,
Yeah.
like that was
And
to cheer him
one
up.
made
but-
him realize it looked like a blimp.
Exactly.
Before that, we've got the bit where he goes to Moe's Tavern. He sees the ad for Laramie cigarettes. They won't let us advertise on TV. Oh, that sweet Laramie taste. But there's nothing to stop us from endorsing a children's beauty pageant. And he's like,
Yeah.
Lisa could hire that. And there's a great moment here where he literally opens his wallet and he's got a photo of Lisa and his ticket. And he's like, okay, I'm going to give away, I'm going to sell my ticket, pay for this. It's a wonderful heart
And they
moment.
covered for that in the story later on, where the whole twist of why Homer sent in the caricature and not an actual picture of Lisa. Even though he had one in his wallet, he didn't have a big enough picture of Lisa.
Yeah.
Whereas the caricature was done like on A4 paper.
And you know what? This is the antithesis of jerk-ass Homer.
Yeah.
Like, this
Oh,
is the
yeah.
one where it's like he really, really fucking cares about his family and
It's
he
a-
really wants the best for them.
It's as clear an act of self-sacrifice as
Yeah.
he's able to do.
Yeah, absolutely. This is like his like gold medal at the Olympics is a ride on the duff limp is for him.
Oh, yeah.
Everything he could possibly ever want, and he gives that away to make his daughter happy. And
He
that
could have
is
seen Central Pivot Irrigation.
Yeah.
But he gave it
Yeah.
up for Lisa's happiness.
He literally gave up his dream.
Yeah.
His literal dream.
His lifelong dream was to see that car shaped like a bowling pin. He did it 2 years ago in Santa Monica.
Okay, the other thing I like about this, going back to more of the heart, is that it does portray the Simpsons as a working class family. He can't afford $250
at the drop of a
Yeah.
hat.
Oh, no way.
to help out or to pay for anything for his child. They don't have that kind of cash, even if it is important to her. So he actually has to sell something to get something. And I think you don't see a lot of that in the later episodes that I can recall.
No, and the other element here is that he didn't hear Laramie cigarette sponsored. He heard my little girl can be put on a pedestal.
Yeah.
You know, and it's actually, I applaud this episode for only hitting on the Laramie cigarettes thing at the start and then at the end. Like, it does make it a subtle underlying thing of this whole Little Miss Springfield pageant, yeah.
I just want to quickly bring up 2 points. One, I feel like this is the classic era Homer. Through analysis, and I really need to do some more research on this, there seem to be 3 eras. First you've got the flawed patriarch, then you've got the classic era Homer, then you've got the jerk-ass Homer of the latest seasons. More research on that to come, listeners. But more, I really want to talk about the Laramie cigarettes ad because I love the hell out of it. When the dad's playing with the daughter, he's like, wee! 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 And she just never comes down. It just kills me every time. And when it cuts to Krusty, it's like, I wholeheartedly endorse this product or event.
It's such a grainy
clearly-
footage of him as well. It's like recorded in his basement when he's in rehab, trying desperately to make a couple of bucks.
You can tell like there's this like downgrade in quality as soon as that cuts in, and you're like,
Yeah, because it's like grainy and a little bit black and white, and his color's completely off.
The funny thing is, on Twitter, I hit up Worst Episode Ever podcast at one point, and I go, "Oh, can you give a shout out to my podcast or some reason?" And then they posted the Frinkiac screen cap of that bit. I heartily endorse this product, and I'm like, "Oh my god, that's the
awesome.
best endorsement I've ever gotten."
That most definitely is.
Also, only because the DVD menu is still scrolling.
Yes.
This is after the Camp Krusty episode, so we know just how cheap Krusty is with all this stuff. Like,
Also on the issue of other Simpsons podcasts, Four Finger Discount actually have just finished reviewing all of season 4 now. They're about to move on to season 5. And
Okay, so it's 5 seasons till they give up.
yeah. Prove us wrong, Four Finger Discount.
yeah.
Prove us wrong.
You get past season 14, Godspeed.
Yeah.
Godspeed, little doodle.
You got some wastelands to come.
And they were talking about season 4, and like, it does make me realize, season 4 was actually like this perfect mix of the jokes and stories at this time in the Simpsons history.
All right, so Homer tells Lisa that he's entered her into the contest. She's initially, shocked because, hey, what I want is less attention, not more.
And even Bart is like, "Hey, Homer, why would you do that? Have you seen the girls in that contest?"
I love it. He takes off his own shoe and beats himself in the head with it.
Like, I think that's a really good homage to the what is it? Is it the coyote from
You mean Johnny Cash?
not Johnny
my bad.
Cash.
What coyote are we talking about?
The coyote that goes how
Tex Avery.
Tex Avery. And of course the mask wouldn't have been out by now, but they were doing the same bit.
And I like this plot point that it's like Homer did a stupid thing just like thinking he was doing the right thing, and then Marge had to explain it to Lisa in a way.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that was
it's
a really
really-
good way of showing how understanding she is of his well-meaning buffoonery.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And it has a very realistic reaction for everyone. Lisa's like, no, why the fuck would I do that? And she runs off and cries. Marge's like, do you know what your father gave up for this? It was his right on the Duff blimp. And
That was
I also
beautiful
like
to
that
me.
She started it off with saying, "We're not going to force you to do anything you don't want to do," you know. And I like that it wasn't her guilting her into it. Really, she was just explaining he didn't mean to hurt you. You know, that's what
was-
came across. That he's
he
not
was
trying to
trying what
hurt
he
you.
thought was
Yeah.
best. Yeah.
I like the fact that like when like the regionals of the beauty pageant, where it's like all the kind of there's like a little girl who's probably Lisa's age with like a fur, like a mink stole like around her neck and everything, and
She looks at the goal and she goes, "If you're gonna binge, you better purge."
Oh, what a bitch!
I know.
That's
love
such
that-
a joke that went over my head. when
Yeah,
I
I
was
love that
little.
for a
Yeah.
joke I didn't get till later.
I
That's
feel like if this was season 28 or 29, they would
feel
pay
off
too
colour.
much attention to that joke, and it would be like a story point almost.
absolutely. But here it's just said in passing. If you get
Yeah.
it, good. If you don't, we're already on something else.
Yeah.
But it's like Veep. Like Veep just kind of tells a joke and then moves on. And if you haven't got it, it's too bad. It's like we've moved on from that.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's great writing, and their whole dialogue is amazing because it's like there's Amber Dempsey. She was both pork princess and Little Miss Kosher in 1 month.
in the same week even.
the same week.
Yeah.
Same week.
You got eyelash extensions. I thought eyelash extensions. I thought they were illegal. Not
in Paraguay.
Oh, and that sound effect that they keep bringing back to Amber.
Yeah.
Like the camera flash sound.
It's like
Yeah.
to me that's multiple kung fu sword sound.
Yeah.
And I like that Lisa goes away from this feeling like pretty uncertain, but everyone sort of bands to help her out, you know.
Yeah.
Marge takes to the hairdresser. They do some really weird shit there.
So we go back to the training for the Little Miss Springfield pageant, in which we've got just the fantastic immortal line from the choreographer of, I said step, pause, turn, pause, pivot, step, not step, pause, turn, pause, step, pivot, stalls. Fuck.
Let me
You
do
can do
it.
it.
It's
You
a
can do
tongue
it.
twister.
I said step, pause, turn, pause, pivot, step, not step, pause, turn, pause, pivot, step, pause. Oh, shudder.
So it goes through this really clever montage of different haircuts of Lisa. I don't remember what the song was. It was pretty sort of generic-y.
Yeah.
But it was effective for the moment where she had all radical hairstyles, and one of them was Marge at the end, which was cute. And then it ends up just being her spikes just on a slight curve.
Yeah.
Like, it's so like not another teen movie where they just take the ponytail out and take off the
Remove
glasses.
and you're beautiful now.
But that was taken from, was it Pretty in Pink?
She is all that.
She's all that. My bad.
It was pretty much an amalgam
Oh,
of
it
all
was
those
taken
movies.
from every cliche ever.
It was every teen movie ever created in the 90s, basically.
But it leads on to a really good bit. So, Marge and Lisa are pulling into the driveway, and Homer's like, okay, make a big fuss about her when she comes home. Women are ravenous monsters who just want more and more compliments.
Ravenous, blood-sucking monsters who want more.
Thank you.
She'll see through me like grandma's underpants.
And then he's like, and if you give it to them, you'll get something extra. And that thought bubble where, you're already a little bit weirded out because it's like they are talking about his daughter and Bart's sister. But then you go to the
thought bubble where
it's just Marge mowing the lawn while Homer has a tropical cocktail.
And I like later on, it's also like chop, chop, dig,
dig, chop, chop, dig, dig. Yeah.
That's right. And then, but Bart's like, okay, Dad, I trust you. I'll give compliments. And like, I like how it's like Homer compliments Lisa and Bart compliments Marge.
Yeah.
And does the classic, who's your school grade friend there?
Wait a minute.
That's Mom. And the best thing is they eat it up, and then Bart's like, wow, Dad, do you know anything else about women? No,
Nope,
that's it.
And like they do a smash cut to the next scene where Bart is practicing this advice in real life.
Yeah.
And manages to get a
Gab a giant
I
ice
like
cream.
it.
100
ice cream.
scoop.
100 times bigger Sunday.
Yeah.
Of like Lunch
How
Lady
did-
Doris's sister.
How does a
The homely
lady
ice-
working in an ice cream shop
Maintain such a slim figure. I've misjudged you.
Yeah, it is totally Lunch Lady Doris's sister, Ice Cream Lady Morris.
Also, ironic that that's her only line when she turns out to be one of the judges.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
I feel like they were just lazy on
misjudged
character
you.
models this time. But we do have Lisa at the pageant. Starts off with a little bit of America the Brave, I think.
Forsaken Skies. Forsaken?
Leave an answer in the comments, please.
Sorry, to go to immediately to a corrections on the Simpsons index. It is in fact, Lisa starts off not America Brave, but America the Beautiful, and transitions into Proud Mary, but a Creedence Clearwater revival. I'm all about that.
Yeah.
So I love how Krusty is late to the Little Miss Springfield pageant because he ate too much brisket.
Yep.
But also, he is so professional.
Yeah.
He knows exactly. He's like, what is this about? Like, he just launches straight into Little Miss Springfield.
the
strong.
ultimate professional.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He is really like, he's like, there's a lot of like jokes in other episodes about like how a lot of
yeah.
whoa and
Oh yeah.
a lot of, but you know what?
His share of Auga.
Oh,
Exactly.
he did.
He knows exactly. Like he's the perfect like MC, and then he can.
Yeah. What is this, a Republican convention?
Yeah.
He hasn't even tucked in his cummerbund, and then the
No.
next second he's out there nailing it.
Yeah.
He's the Bob Hope of
You know what? You were talking
Yeah.
about like, I don't know about this episode, but we all fucking sang this song, the Little Miss Springfield song.
Yeah, we did.
We
Yep.
all sang along perfectly because this is a perfectly memorable.
Did we do that on mic?
We should do it now, right now. 1, 2,
I guess that makes
3.
you win by default. All the losers in her way, I the income she will make. T is for her tooth-filled mouth. T is for her tooth-filled mouth.
And
man.
percussion there provided by Jordan.
Yeah, no.
And I like how Homer's backstage supporting Lisa and the bit with the petroleum jelly.
Yeah.
Yeah, she glosses up her smile. He's like, tastes a little taste, and then just like a bear claw swipes the entire.
It's his honey pot.
Jelly anyway. Is it Vaseline?
It's
or-
Yeah.
Vaseline,
It's Vaseline.
essentially.
Really?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh.
He's
Alright.
going to have the slipperiest poops.
To be fair, I've never eaten it. It might be delicious.
I can
I
confirm it
assume
is
it's
not.
I assume it's not.
So Act 2 ends with Amber Dempsey, Miss Jackie Chan eyebrows, Miss Jackie Chan eyelashes,
Good enough?
winning the Little Miss Springfield contest, and Lisa walking away dejected, winning second place, which is still pretty good
Yep.
because, she can replace Amber Dempsey in the case of, Click.
Ooh.
So anyway, Act 3 kicks off with another news report, which is another reoccurring theme on this podcast, is that an act break into like a news report is actually a great way to come back from commercial and catch the audience back up on what's happening.
Not only that, but just sometimes the number of times we've watched The Simpsons watching TV, and I actually really like it. It seems weirdly self-referential to what we're currently doing. So
Well, actually, you made a really good point. It was about kind of how often kind of scene transitions are either crosses to or from
television. It's
television
and people watching it.
Immediately, M. Dempsey gets struck by lightning.
Not immediately. First, we have Barney in the Duff Blimp who crashes at like the Hindenburg. Kent Brockman's like, oh, the humanity! Now crossing the right over to Little Miss Springfield.
Anyway.
The new craze that's sweeping the nation.
Wasting food! This was so off-quoted in my family.
Yes, absolutely.
Coming out of Act 3, Lisa is the newly crowned Little Miss Springfield, and she's walking through the elementary school, and we see a slight glimpse of smooth-talking Ralph.
Oh, man.
Love that chewing gum walk.
Very wriggly.
Clink the milks together.
Yeah.
I was going to say, right before that, Lisa being sworn in as the new Little Miss Springfield is a parallel of Lyndon Johnson being sworn in as the new president after Nixon. Yep.
So anyway, there's a sort of USO show thing happening where special guest to this episode, Bob Hope, makes his appearance. And I love how he sort of confirms with the stagehand, who's the mayor of this town? Quimby? Good. I'll just use my standard golf bit.
But I love how Bob Hope actually voices him. Like, he knows he's a parody of himself. Like, he knows he's an entertain the troops, like, veteran by this stage. Absolutely.
But anyway, so part of her responsibility is obviously Lisa then has to ride at the front of the Laramie Cigarettes Corporation's float.
Yeah.
Again, same corporate shill.
Oh, yeah, I love the corporate chill on this one. We're thinking of retiring Menthol Moose.
And I like that this is sort of where they decided to bring the Laramie thing back, because it was there at the start. Homer just ignored it because it was like, my little girl can be pretty, and now it's like, here's the reality that is on his little girl now.
Here's the consequences of your actions.
Yeah. And I like how the Laramie guy sort of explains the situation to Lisa. You know, so many of our customers have been, dying.
This is totally Lisa.
Yeah,
Straight down the line.
Yep.
It goes, you know what? I don't like smoking. I don't abide with anything to do with smoking. I'm going to fight against it with the thing, not just the, like, kicking the cigarette, the huge cigarette packet over onto the moose,
but
like
everything she
saying,
does.
you know, college football diverts, you know, precious funds away
That
from art and
moment
music.
of when the nerds stand up against the jocks is so brilliant.
What I love, and I don't know if I noticed, was then the next point is the newspaper reveal nerds beaten savagely by jocks.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't notice that. The episode pretty much ends with like the town going, oh my god, this Lisa Simpson and her morals, she's out of control, we got to stop her. And then the Laramie guy,
gentlemen, our prayers have been answered.
And when it turns out that, and this is a joke that I've copied in tests, where, you know, at high school you get the test and it says, this page is left blank on purpose, and you just write, okay, because Homer did it in this episode. Do not write below this line, he wrote, okay.
Yeah. Because, of course, Homer's like, he's not smart. Obviously, he loves his daughter, but he's not a kind of a smart guy. Of course, he would write in this particular column. And it makes sense. It makes sense in the context
it's
of the
inherent
episode.
to the character, and it's like Homer's loving stupidity was also the downfall.
It's the perfect idiot move, you know.
Absolutely.
And in talking of idiot moves, the goat feeding gag, where the production staff at Channel 6 News keep cutting to the wrong clip of the goat drinking out of a milk bottle.
I want to hear that story, though. That sounds adorable.
I was going to say, because it cuts into my exclusive interview with Pop John Paul II. It's like,
and it's back to the goat feeding.
And that's the thing, as a kid, you don't realize just how amazing that would have been for a reporter.
It's like, that's it. I'm out of here. Call the weekend guy. I don't care.
Yeah. And I'll be at McDougal's. A parallel import gag, but I'm going to let it slide. Let's do it all at the same time. 3, 2, 1. It's time for the questionnaire! So, storyline-wise, this was an A throughout. Ultimately, did this feel
Yes.
like an episode
my
of The
God.
Simpsons.
Yes.
Thank God, yes.
100 times yes.
I just want to bring up in this question is like integrity, everything is on point. The show's on point, the characters are on point, but especially Homer. This is the kind of Homer that we like, where it's, you know, his stupidity, but it's out of love.
Yeah, he's trying his best. He's just kind of an idiot.
And the downfall of the episode is on his stupidity, and ultimately this is going to the heart, but Lisa like forgives him because it's like, you made me feel special.
Yeah. We'll get there, but
It's actual familial, like kind of that love that not that kind of forced upon feeling that some of the other episodes make you feel. This is real kind of like he actually really cares about his daughter.
Ladies
you
and
don't-
gentlemen, Jordan is crying.
You don't get
It's all
that in
mine.
a lot of upper episodes. You don't get that. You don't feel that kind of. It feels really forced, but this is just so natural, and I love this episode for this exact reason.
Fair enough, man. That is fair enough. But play count, how many times do you think you've seen it? So for me, it's got to be in the 100 at least.
Wow.
Like, I know
high.
this episode was VHS taped in my family. BT, how many times?
in the thousands.
Fair enough.
Throwdown.
Clanny,
Yeah, heaps.
any jokes that sort of flew over your head? I think we all agreed that the joke, well, if you're going to binge, you got to purge, sort of
Yeah.
flew out of our
Yeah.
heads in the day.
I was going to say quickly, the reference to Lyndon Johnson being sworn in, I wouldn't have gotten as a child.
No, absolutely not.
Wackiness. Any wackiness like the goat feeding and the Ambit MC being struck by lightning, that was all inherent to the story and it was beautiful.
Hey, people get struck by lightning, dude. It
Oh.
happens.
How about the heart?
I really like when Lisa's like, do you remember why you entered me in this contest? Like, I don't know. Was I drunk? Possibly. But you did it to make me feel better about myself. And I do. And he's like, we remember this next time I screw your life up? I promise. It's like, it's the perfect counterpoint to its own point.
This
and
is
I love it.
every Simpsons relationship question.
It's a moment of metafiction where they're like looking outside themselves. Like, I know that next week you're gonna have some bullshit zany antics.
Not even that. He
Yeah.
knows he's going to ruin her life at some point.
Yeah,
I think the moment was in, the heart moment was in Lisa saying, and I do. Like, just accepting Homer for who he is and going, I finally realized that there was a beautiful gesture that you did for me, Dad. And
Hey, she still comes second. She gets in first eventually.
Yeah, but she's still sad after second.
no, but that, I mean, that's the beauty of the ending, that it took her to be out of that moment of the pageant to go, now
Agreed.
I finally realized what you did. Yes or no, would you watch this episode again?
Yeah.
100%, because this is one of my favorite episodes of season 4.
Let's rank this thing! So, I'm going to go with Clanny first.
Cubic zirconia.
Yeah.
Yeah? Do you agree with that head too?
I can't disagree with it.
Because she's, because you agree or because she has you by
Yeah,
the
I know.
nuts?
Like, I don't understand. Would you rate it gold instead?
No, look, I can't disagree with that. There's nothing wrong with this episode. There's nothing wrong with this episode.
Jordan.
This is a clear cubic zirconia. This is a perfect anti-jerk-ass Homer.
Yes.
Homer is so in love with his children, and it is so refreshing to see him trying to kind of enrich them.
So, I rank this one a cubic zirconium in my books, and it's weird because, like, going into it, I thought this was a guaranteed gold. I mean, Lisa, Beauty Queen episode, oh, blah, blah, blah. But no, this was so tight on the story, the jokes, the heart, the wackiness. Everything was in conjunction to make this an essential Simpsons episode. BT.
Oh, for sure. I'm gonna completely go with a grain here, you bastards. Cubic zirconia, like I said at the beginning, flawless victory. This is tight. It's funny. The just rapid jokes. It's not heavy on the quotable jokes. It's just more
Are you
every
kidding?
single. No, it's got a few of them.
Okay.
But it's more every single gag is just every single line is a joke. Essentially, it's fantastic. There's just you don't go even a minute without a joke. It gets a little lighter towards the end, but that's when you get all the emotion and the stakes and everything plays out. It's fantastic. Cubic's going to get no question.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, cool, guys. That has been episode 36 of the Simpsons Index.
What,
And
what?
now, as of this moment, we have reviewed 102 episodes.
Oh my god!
More can anybody want?
No way!
Thank you, all the listeners out there, for supporting this podcast. We, really appreciate your love. And also, just another shout out and thank you to Worst Episode Ever, who had me on and essentially doubled our listeners since having me on as a guest. We thank you. Like, you guys were the catalyst for me starting this podcast. So, yeah, worst episode ever. Go check them out. And for now, that's been Jordan.
Hello.
That's been BT.
That is completely correct there, Kent.
That's been Clanny.
Bye.
And I'm your host, Elliot J. O'Neill.
You may remember him from such films.
As not tapping out.
Thank you for checking out the Simpsons Index podcast. Don't forget to go to www.thesimpsonsindex.com for the spreadsheet and information about upcoming episodes.
And for today's extra content,
All right, so we are going to jump back to season 18. I'm going to take that again because I'm finding Clanny fighting with itself way too amusing.
Clanny, stop eating Clanny.
First half of Clanny, stop eating the second half of Clanny.
Only
But what were we rocking out to in 2005?
I mean, we can Google on the Simpsons Index.
No.
I reckon it was probably Missy Elliott.
Yeah?
I never rocked out to
Let me
that.
search it. I'm going to work it.
Well, I will not hear a bad word said about Missy Elliott.
I don't even know who she is, so I can't say a bad word about her. I'm just saying.
It's me in disguise.
Oh my god, I always had a suspicion.
That's 4-finger discount available on iTunes. But no, listen to our podcast. Don't listen to
Again, it's not like they're airing at the same time. They can listen to both.
They're already, if they've listened to 90 minutes of this already, they're already hooked.
It's true, they're ingrained. I bet they can't imagine
You
what I'm
wouldn't
going to
put
say
up
next.
with 90 minutes of us,
Nipple sparkle.
except for the occasional nipple sparkle.
Homer's telling Lisa about the Little Miss Springfield pageant, and he's holding up the pamphlet. It says Litty Miss Springfield.
Yeah.
It doesn't say little.
Good point.
It says Litty.
Couldn't
Yep.
fit it.
So, yeah. I hope someone was fired over that blunder. Fired. Did I say fired? I said fired.
Elliot, you're fired.
I love he takes off his own shoe and beats himself in the head with it.
Has not a girl made you that pretty before?
It's really a famous bit. Elliot, come on, man.
Has not a girl made you that pretty before?
It's bad enough it's on record.
What the hell are you even
repeat it?
trying for?
The thing is, Elliot, you can edit this out, but
It's
I
a-
think you should choose not to.